Hi everyone. It's about, well, at least in Australian time zone, it's about 3:11, I believe. Let's just confirm the exact time. 3:11, which is in fact, they're expecting the time of this game to go until 7 p.m. That is 7 p.m. England time, which is effectively 4 a.m. my time. So another 40 odd minutes, 45 minutes, they reckon the game will go on with. And of course, India have done, and New Zealand both been fighting very, very hard, haven't they? New Zealand having gotten all out for 249, initially they were chasing 217 of what the score that India had gotten. And they were 249. Tomorrow it is reserve day, correct, Sharari? Yes, it's the reserve day, which is effectively the 6th day. And so that today was effectively the 5th day of play. Well, that wasn't 5 days of play because they lost out on the first and fourth days. The second and third, they played some of them. They played 60 odd over the second day and a similar sort of less overs on the third day. The reality is that also in a team like CLA, India led by 100 runs more, could have scored. Okay, the reality is that Kane Williamson did very, very well. He survived quite a weather storm. India bowled, Sharmi bowled particularly well, so Ishan Sharma. It was particularly strong bowling for them to actually, in fact, at one stage, like 217 wouldn't have actually been made, but they did get through that. Some lofty hitting by the likes of Southie, and even Jameson also contributed in that way. So effectively, New Zealand got 249, so they were 32 in front on the first innings. And since that point, India have knocked that off. That 32, they've knocked it off, and they've lost the 1 wicket of. Looks like they lost another wicket. In fact, looks like Jameson has just taken what could well be Rowett. We'll just wait and see. But of course, Rohit Sharma and Gill opened the batting. They've lost the wicket of Gill, and India now just gone to 1 for 40. So looks like they've survived. That's Pujara and Rohit are both in there. Scores 1 for 40. So effectively, India are now some 8 runs. So it's effectively 1 for 8. With potentially, if no weather conditions change, which means there's no bad light that stops play, India will probably be ahead by a certain amount of runs. They're ahead by some 8 runs now. So they're ahead by 50 odd by the time the day ends, which is possible. Sets up a great last day. It means that India will have to go for it very, very solidly in the morning, leaving New Zealand something like 2 sessions to get a certain score. That's if India are bold enough to declare and give New Zealand a sniff of a chance. Clearly, they are now just playing for a draw. No, I don't know that's necessarily true. I don't think so. So, yeah, I don't know whether that's necessarily. You can't say it conclusively. An obvious chance for India now. I want New Zealand to win, but it is also looking difficult. Yeah, the New South Wales came in too late. Yeah, I think New Zealand are in the box seat to be able to win this, but it's not conclusive. And Manu John still 6 to a draw. Well, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing to say this can't be a victory. With like Wagner's coming on the ball now, he's got a lot of guile about his short delivery. Magnificent day's play though. The 249 that New Zealand was able to. That was great. So that was an effort where Rohit Sharma really trying to smack Wagner out of the ground. I don't think they were playing for a draw here. New Zealand again. Williamson batted the majority of the day. Well, it was a backdrop. Sorry, he was helped certainly towards the end by both Southie and Jamieson with 2 batsmen certainly helped the team score go towards the end. Can I visit Nepal, Ross and Antaman? I'll try one day. We'll try one day to come to Nepal. Let's have a look at it. So Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma is not playing for a draw. Rohit Sharma is not playing for a draw. If they bowl for 98 overs tomorrow, India could well bat for 40 and put New Zealand to bat, and New Zealand can go for it. It's almost looking like a 50 over match, the way they can approach this. The wicket will deteriorate even more. It's going to be increasingly hard for New Zealand to bat on this tomorrow. I'll tell you that much. And Williamson's going to need a heroic innings like he had in the first innings. So yeah, let's just look at some of the scores in that innings. Let's have a look at them. Let's have the team sheet. So New Zealand, Williamson was virtually called by it. Ihsan Sharma took 3 wickets. Bumrah, indicative he did not play well at all. He in fact took no wickets at all. Sharma took 4 for 76, bowling fantastically. Ashwin toiled very well, was very, very economical at 2-28, and Jadeja 1 for 20. You would argue that the pick of the bowls was certainly Sharma and Ihsan Sharma, helped by Ashwin somewhat by Jadeja, but Bumrah was the most disappointing player on the bowling attack. And the reality is that Bumrah perhaps should have been not on the side, and it should well have been Siraj, and then that may have made some significant difference. So yeah, Tim Southee courageously hit 30 runs off 46 deliveries. Now, those 46 deliveries, so I scored 2 sixes and a 4. So relatively aggressive. Neil Wagon didn't last long. Trent Bolt didn't last that long. It was really Cole Jamieson and Southee. DeGrom supported Williamson somewhat. Williamson batted for 49 runs, but he scored 177 deliveries, which is indicative of a man that really grafted away, and he was in fact the second last man to go at 8 down. So he was there. The score was 221, so it was pretty impressive. But Southee certainly helped. Then not only does Southee get the 30, he's taken the first wicket of the innings here. He's trapped Sue and Gill for 20 on 8 LBW. So there's a lot to be said about this. Pujara is there now. That tells me that they're going to be they're not going to go easily. But I think Rohit Sharma will be going for it. You might even see Punt go up the order to try and escalate the whole innings. Not having much practice definitely hurt India's chances. Also, conditions pretty similar to what New Zealand get back at home. Anyway, it should be an excuse. Shouldn't be an excuse. Yeah, there is no excuse. Wagner's bowling some good length, but yeah, he is. And I've already mentioned it before. I can visit Nepal. I can visit Nepal at some stage. Yes. The reality is that Jamieson's bowling now. Look, India are some. What are they now? They're 9 in front. Effectively, 1 for 9. You would argue that they're losing more wickets tonight. They get 30 or 40 or 50 in front. They come in the first session tomorrow and score another 150, or maybe 150, maybe even 100, and leave New Zealand a total of in excess of 150, 170 with 2 sessions to go. Well, it's a bold declaration from India if that is the case, because it will mean that New Zealand have a good chance of making a go of it. But why not do that? Why not give just that 2 sessions to go, just a bit over, a bit under 2 sessions? New Zealand, if India bowl well enough, they could take 3 or 4 wickets in that middle section and really put a bit of a scare into the New Zealand camp. It can be a very exciting finish. Playing 2 spinners has been a mistake. Not playing Siraj was the mistake. Bumrah certainly didn't deserve his position today. launch a set of reaction videos in your channel viewership would explode to millions. Well, what would the reaction video be on the basis of the selection of the side, or interesting what you think there. The pitch is going to deteriorate. It's going to be a bit of a mess tonight, that's for sure. When will it deteriorate with so much rain? It's really doing that now. Looking at Gill batting, what do you think about him against England? Or should he replace? No, he can't replace for a mid-match. No, I still think he's very young. Fourth thing, battings will be very difficult. Okay. Lack of seaming all-rounder forced India to go with two spinners. And our tail sucks at batting anyway. You never know, spinner might be having it right. Exactly. They might become very much spinner friendly. Let's look here. I'll try and keep up. It's going to be a quick tomorrow. Of course, it'll tear it on day 5. The pitch is going to be harder to battle tomorrow. And if India can get a lead of 150 plus, it puts a lot of pressure on New Zealand, because they're going to bat to survive. And if they do that, they're going to be at their own peril, because that'll be the perfect scenario for the Indian bowlers, especially Ashwin and Jadeja. If they bat to survive, they can crowd the wicket pitch. They can take a session of wickets. Don't deny that. But it's likely to be a draw. I'm not going to take away from that. Yeah, that's maybe the case. Rowan is looking nice. Okay. What happened to Jameson today? You're talking about his batting? His batting? Well, what did he get? He got 21 off 16 balls. He was certainly going for it. He was certainly going for it. He had a 6. He's not there to muck around, and was caught. 75 is more than enough. Well, they're going to get 175. They need to get, another 30 today, and then first session I really, really go for it. See, Shuttle, but probably the management and skipper decided to back experience. Of course they did. The players that have proven to play the best players in the world in the side. Jameson bowling not effective today. Well, I mean, as in this last he's only bowled. So he's bowled 7 overs. He's got none for 7 off 7 overs so far today. So I wouldn't say it's ineffective. It's been pretty good. Just hasn't taken a wicket. A bowler like Neil Wagner is capable of being hit around, but also capable of taking a wicket. So slowly bowled Jameson and Wagner, great bowlers. And if India could just, what was the catch he's taken here? That was a catch of Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma took a magnificent catch, didn't he? Rohit Sharma, let me see. Let's recollect who Rohit Sharma caught. He caught Shubman McGill took a great catch. Henry Nichols, Sharma took a great catch. Some great catches, actually. The catch that Shubman McGill took Ross Taylor, that was a beauty as well. Absolute beauty. And Henry Nichols went to a very good catch off Ishant Sharma. Ishant Sharma bowled particularly strong. Sharma was lethal, but just didn't have all the success go his way. In which direction is the match going? Well, at the moment, it's still hard to say. You would still think there's a possibility of result here. If India approach it the right manner, which they are, they're 1 for 44 at the moment. There's Rohit Sharma's already 27, relatively ahead. So he could. Oh, he's still trying to play shots. So 1 for 44. Effectively, they're 1 for 12. If they get around the 140 mark, let's say 140 mark today, 150. Sorry, 1 for 40, 1 for 50 mark. You could well see a situation where India really, really go for it in the morning, score 100 odd in that first session, send New Zealand to bat either at the beginning of the second session or even the end of the first session, depending how quickly they get their answer. It's going to be interesting. Okay. New Zealand getting 32-run lead has stamped out India's hopes. I don't agree. At the moment, India are 1 for 12. Right, Chalmers did a nice pull shot, which is not going to the boundary. But they're 1 for 12, possible 1 for 40. End of the day's play with 98 overs left. India can have a bold declaration and give New Zealand, say, 2 sessions to bat, and New Zealand will try to survive. And then, if they try to survive as opposed to try to get the runs, attitude will be important. It could well be that New Zealand have got some problems on their hands. Roster Entertainment thinks I think Bolt is not informed in this test, same as Bumrah. Well, certainly Bumrah is not informed. His none for the first innings was ineffective. And Shami and Ishant Sharma certainly delivered. With the Ashwin and Jadeja toiled relatively well as well. Maybe they're a bit expensive at certain stages, but overall that was a very good effort of Indian bowling. Bumrah was definitely a disappointment and usually the spearhead of their fast bowling attack. You would argue that perhaps Siraj, in the way that he plays, may well have been more of a wicket taker. Well, the scoring rate is very low from both sides for one very good reason. The bowling's been particularly good overall, and the wicket's just a great bowling pitch. So it's not a batting pitch at all. Look at the scores: 217, 249. They're very low scores, and this innings will not get to great heights over 200. No way. So tomorrow, anywhere from 150, 170 above that India's set for New Zealand to get will be extremely difficult. We'll make it a great match. So I don't think it's over yet. Yes, but again, actually, all the bowlers didn't perform their best at best. Shami was difficultly good, but he gave off many runs to New Zealand, which is bad. Shami bowled sensational. Bumrah's the only one that really can't hang his hat. This is all right for 249. That's not a high score by any means. Rawat, Kohli, Pant and Jadeja are more than capable of increasing the run rate. Absolutely. I agree. And they probably could afford to just be one down tonight for perhaps 40 in front, which would be around the 70 mark. If they get to look at that ball, that was incredible. It was Jameson is the danger again. Jameson is once again the danger of the ball. He is the most dangerous bowler on the field in both innings. Bumrah should have been too. Bumrah was very, very poor. They're regretting not having Siraj on that side. And Shardul Thakur could also have been argued as a player to play. Yeah, for sure. And the way Southie Jamieson batted was also important. One more reserve day cannot be added. I can't make that clear enough. It cannot be added. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to be able to do that. Jameson's the one that's the key. Set 202 seconds if they have a good bat. 225, that means they're going to score close to 180 plus in the next session. I don't think so. It's too much. 175 is more than enough to get them to chase down, because that gives New Zealand a sniff and also gives the chance to India to get them out. And New Zealand will definitely go for those runs if they're given only 175. But they will find that very difficult to get. Jameson's bowling, how many overs left today? Well, I think they're going to play for another 26 minutes. Thereabouts, 20-odd minutes, which will mean, anywhere from 6 overs maybe. How many overs left today? Isn't it? I think if India are now 1 for 47 as we speak, so they're 1 for 15 effectively. They're not losing all wickets, and they're 40 for 50 in front. And tomorrow's session they score 120. That's 170 in front, close to 180. India will think very seriously about declaring maybe an O before lunch, couple overs before lunch, giving India 2 hits at the bowlers both before and after tea. That would, before and after lunch would be ideal, to be really honest with you. Absolutely ideal. Shami bowled better than Jameson. Well, Shami did bowl well. He didn't have as much luck. Ishant Sharma bowled well. He had a bit of luck. Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow is the last day. No doubt about it. But we're into the third innings here. Before the fourth day hits, we're well into the third innings now. India, I would love to see India declare some stage before lunch, giving New Zealand a couple of overs before lunch and then 2 sessions, giving New Zealand a chance, but giving India also a great chance. It'll be a dramatic finish. And if India were to lose after declaring towards the end of the first session, they'd be commended rather than frowned upon. No one's going to be saying, oh, why did India do that? Or they're going to be applauded for the effort to make that happen. Let's hope it does happen. Hats off to you. You are still awake at this time. I can see the passion for Test cricket. Well, this is not just Test cricket. This is the World Test Championship, the WTC, the Test World Cup. You can see the ground now with the Hilton Hotel attached to a GS Bowl, a Hampshire Bowl. Beautiful ground, actually. And I can remember going there at the other end where the Hilton Hotel's at one end, and the other end, I think that's the so-called pavilion where the players are at this point. And it's a great ground. A very, very smart inclusion of a hotel attached to the ground. Brabourne Stadium has got it in Mumbai. Adelaide Oval now has as well. Adelaide Oval has a hotel attached to the ground. There's a few other Indian grounds where that's happening as well. And the future of more England grounds. But that's a very clever inclusion. I think that makes multi-purpose use of the ground even on non-cricket days. And I think that adds a bit to the whole thing of being able to stay there and watch the game from the actual rooms, although they're probably where the cricketers are staying. It's certainly it's impressive, very, very impressive. I think it's a great aspect, very clever of Southampton at the Hampshire Bowl or the Aegeus Bowl to do that. It's a great ground. There's also Shane Warne stand there, if you remember. I remember seeing England versus the West Indies one year, and Tino Best did particularly well for the West Indies. He was very, very much a swashbuckler in those days. Okay. Overs left 14.5. I don't. The 14.5 may be what they've got left, but the light will probably prevent that. Do I watch the Euro Cup? Yes. England are playing a pretty important match coming up. It's safe for India to declare after getting 225 runs. Yeah, but that's going to be well past lunch, and that may not be what they want to do. Again, they're now some 15 runs in front. So you're saying score another 210. Now that's a monumental amount to score in a first session tomorrow. If they go beyond the first session, they're not playing for a win. I think if India can set around the 170 mark by close to the close of the first session, then they're giving New Zealand a sporting chance, and also enough time for them to do some damage wicket-wise. It's clearly a draw. No, it's not clearly a draw. It's only clearly a draw of the way that India bat tomorrow morning. If they shut up shop and play defensively, well, then we know that the game's over. They'll be very frustrating. I don't think that's going to happen. But they're one for effectively 19 at the moment. Pujara is the key to the Indian innings surviving, but we don't want him to do that tomorrow. We want him to be going for it tomorrow. So do you watch Copa America? No. Not specifically Copa America. So Rohit Sharma's on 30 off 76 now. Rohit Sharma can tear a team apart. We know he can do it in one-day cricket. So he turned himself into a one-day batsman as of, either later today or more so tomorrow. First, imagine if they promote the likes of a Richard punt to next in, or Coley absolutely goes for it. I think one of the significance will be that Pujara, after the first 5 or 6 overs tomorrow, should just give his wicket up, go for broke, and start to slash and allow other blokes to come in and bat. At the moment, Pujara is extremely important if they're not to lose. India cannot afford to lose any more wickets tonight. If they get 30, 40 runs more, then they're in a position where they can turn the match around first thing tomorrow. Messi or Ronaldo? Well, I need to pick between Messi and Ronaldo. I always pick Ronaldo for his flair. Messi's probably a bit more, slightly more steadier, but they're both monumental players. You can't really distinguish between the two, can you? I mean, really, Messi and Ronaldo. Ronaldo is certainly probably the more celebrated out of the two, I would argue. So out of the people online now, how many people are actually subscribed? I hope all of you guys that are online now are subscribed. If you're not, go now and subscribe and hit the notification button for tomorrow's sessions. I'm here today for a reason, so let's see you also support me. Who is your favourite Australian cricketer? Really, not many of the modern era, to be honest with you. Steve Smith, somewhat. Big fan of Border, War, Ponting. Not many of the others. I like Andrew Simons for his flamboyance. Certainly, Adam Gilchrist is a lovely gentleman. Most of the current crop, I'm not all that much of a fan of, and they're showing there in their play as well. Wasn't a fan of Shane Watson at all. Michael Clark, not so much, even though he scored a great triple 100 on the SCG, which I didn't think was great. Steve Waugh century with the last balls of that today's play was also great. Ariam Chahar, I'm shouting out to you. Ariaman Chahar. I've said your name. Now, really my favourite batsman, Australian batsman, you'd have to go back to Bradman in terms of his incredible 99.94 batting average on wickets which were uncovered. Ian Chappell for his guts. Greg Chappell was very elegant. Doug Wallace was the first form of one-day player that Australia really produced. Richie Benaud was a gentleman. Yeah, that's probably a bunch of that's enough of a lot. Manu John, you think there's so much rain expected? I don't know where you're getting that from. I don't think there's been much evidence of it being rain tomorrow, as far as I'm aware. Not at all. So you're watching this match now, you'll notice that it's looking overcast. Yes, it is definitely looking overcast, but there's no rain. It's been a very good day's play of cricket. I don't know how many overs we've had exactly. Let's have a look how many overs we've had today. So the India's second innings. So 26.4 overs in this innings. 99 overs in the New Zealand innings. It's been a good 90 plus overs for sure today. It's probably getting close to 98. But time is extended at this point until another 17 minutes, potentially not very far. Then we can debrief on the day quite a bit. At the moment, they're 1 for 51. India. Oh Jesus! Oh no! Rohit Sharma's let the ball go, and it's him on the pad. He's been given an LBW. Oh, I'm not liking this. Is he going to review? Is he going to review it? Rohit Sharma going to review this decision. We'll wait and see. Rohit Sharma is looking very despondent, and the DRS has gone. And he has not appealed the LBW. He's out. Rohit Sharma out for 30, leaving the ball go off Southie. Very unfortunate. Southie obviously planned that. Ball didn't necessarily. Oh, geez, it was. Oh, I don't know. I think Rohit Sharma may have made a mistake here. The ball looks like it's side outside off stump. And Sharma has not challenged. Look at that for guts. Rohit Sharma did not challenge that decision. If it was Shane Watson, he would have went bang, bang without even asking anyone. The selfish bugger that he was. Very selfish man. In fact, that's one thing I detest about Shane Watson. The constant selfishness and going like that to every dismissal he got while he was opening. Robert Sharma, great decency, did not attempt to do that, and maybe he should have actually done that because I think it may well have gone against him. So Virat Kohli is now in with Pujara. They're 251, so effectively 1 for 19. Sorry, 2 for 19. I think he was not out. I see Mother Drive, see Rohit Sharma was obviously well out for 30 of 18 delivery, so Rohit Sharma was not meant to be staying there long. It was off stump. Well, it was borderline not. The fact that he let it go altogether may have gone against him big time, but it's a pity. If ever Virat Kohli is to produce it, because there's no Kane Williamson was 49 that he got in the first innings, the way he created a backbone for the New Zealand batting order. If he didn't score those runs, New Zealand would be in big trouble now. The 49 that Kane Williamson hit off some 177 balls is monumental in the scheme of things, and it just shows his great captaincy, to be honest with you. Virat has a lot of work to do. Yeah, it's for him to take it on with great gusto and not to not disappoint. Rohit Sharma was looking particularly honest. He got out to 30. It's a pity. Again, got a good start. Again, there's a person that's got a horrible name, and I'm not going to talk about you. Okay, if you don't change your name, I'm not going to mention it. Rahul Joshi, sir, please make a visit to India. I certainly will. I've been there many times before. Has India's clap started? I hope not. Oh, now they're showing the ball outside off stump. Wickets, umpire's call, so they would have not changed the decision had they actually. Teddy's back foot. Oh, I don't know. It's a real pity. It's why did Rohit Sharma do it? He could have put that on ball there. Although the ball moved away and even kept its line, it would have missed the stumps, but it was umpire's call, so he would have been given out anyway. So Rohit Sharma unselfishly has saved an incorrect decision. And you've got to give it to Jamieson bowling, absolute jaffa there. But yeah, Rohit Sharma has to be given a lot of credit there not to call for the DRS. Again, Shane Watson, boom, 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 every single time he batted. And he was on the pads, he went for that. Every single time. He was extremely selfish and despised by most Australian players, I'll tell you that. Never forget that day in Dominica at a certain hotel. It was pretty evident there that I weren't very much a fan of his. Virat will be out as soon as well. Maximum 40 50 runs from him, I hope. I think this is the day that Rohit Sharma's dismissal is so unfortunate, but it's a day of reckoning for Virat Kohli. Pujara will hang around as well. India target 220 maximum, that is all India can do. Well, a 220 target at the moment, if India get 220 in front, they'll win the match. They'll win the match because there's no way that New Zealand are going to get more than 200 in the second innings. No way. In fact, I'd say a bold decision around the 170 mark, 180 mark will give New Zealand a massive sniff and could ultimately see them try to go for it and either win dramatically or lose. That's the position India need to be, is around the 170 mark in front just before lunch tomorrow. Now, at the moment, they are 1 for 19, so they're going to need to get 160, 150, let's say, tomorrow in this first session. They're going to be absolutely motoring. It's going to be very difficult to get that score, to be honest. If they can get 30 or more now, there's a chance. On this match performance, Kit Williamson wins hands down. He's courageous. 49 the stat was incredible. Anyway, give New Zealand all out in one session for sure. No, not one session, but 2 long sessions towards the end of the day's play on a 5th day wearing wicket with some good bowling from India can certainly make it interesting and give New Zealand a whiff or a sniff of a chance to win, which means they'll attempt to go for it and they could lose wickets. They shut up shop in those first or the last 2 sessions. Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, New Zealand may be a bit of trouble. India may be an incredibly attacking field. and the spinners will come into play. So, yeah, very interesting. Munchie's not just talking about this game. Same happened in the semi-final in New Zealand. Yeah, when it's not Munchie, it's Mayo, I think Mayo Johnny. Munchie. You can't say that umpire's call always goes against India. That's true. Munchie, good to see you here at this time of the morning. Kapil Verma, what is your view on the approach of Indian bowlers in today's game, and what would be your opinion on the way forward? Indian bowlers will go out now to win this. If the likes of Sharma bowl well and Shami bowl well, then they're a great chance. Bumrah's not Bumrah, unless he bowls out of his skin, will not be relied upon. But then you've got Jadeja and Ashwin bowling tightly with a fielders all around the bat. New Zealand having to at that stage perhaps survive rather than go for a win, or even if they do go for a win, they're going to be in trouble. It'll be very interesting last day. Anything below 200 in front is dangerous for India. Not necessarily. If they can get anywhere close to that by the end of the first session, they can boldly put New Zealand and just take some early wins and then put the hell of it back. It gives New Zealand a whiff of the chance, yes, but it also allows India to have a chance of winning, and that's what you want to play in this match. They've got nothing to lose to try that. We'd all be more compatible if India gave New Zealand 170, 180 to win with more than 2 sessions to play, and New Zealand ended up just getting it with 8 wickets down. It would be sensational to watch, and both teams have a chance to win. India will declare, I reckon, sometime before the start of the second session. Punt on Sunday was all adjudged not out, an umpire's call with clipping the ball, clipping something. Okay, yeah. I don't think the umpires have done anything wrong here. And you've got to give a lot of time to Rohit Sharma for not going upstairs for his LBW. He would have been given out on umpire's call, and deservedly so. We're looking at the length now. Yeah, look at the delivery of Southey and the way the balls. He's bowling a lot of balls which are coming into the bat, and yes, it hit him just outside off stump, but it was umpire's call. I've said. Good on Rohit Sharma for having the decency not to go for that. He thought of the team as well. He wasn't selfish. Yeah, but anyway, India may not need to get 200. Even Kane was adjudged not out. And we've already talked about that. Yeah. Well, no, not too. If they go crazy in that first session, why can't they get 170 up? They're one for 19-20 now. Another 30 runs tonight. They absolutely go for it tomorrow. They could easily see themselves end of the first session enough. How many runs is sufficient for a win? What's your view? I've just been saying that 170 and an 80 in front. Very bold decision will make it very interesting. For New Zealand to get that many runs in this, look at that. Oh my God, that ball just popped. And Kohli had no idea what happened to that ball. It popped off a good length and it's gone for 4. There's a good example of what's going to happen tomorrow. Very unpredictable bounce, up and down bounce, as well as swing and cut and the over conditions. It's a bowling paradise. So if look at this delivery of Southey's bowler, a bit of a short, but it's just climbed, and in fact it hit Kohli's helmet. Shami and Ishant's bowling was excellent today. I hope they carry the same in the second innings as well. I am of the same opinion. It's going to be a good batting day in the sunshine. So, Mumsy, what do you think India should do if they're able to go into the first session and attack quite heavily? They could be around the 170 mark, with everything going in their favour, 170 mark in front, maybe 180. Now, if they're at that mark before lunch, should they bat into the next session? And then how far do they need to go? I don't think they need to go anywhere near 200. 200 is going to be more than enough. They don't want to leave too short time for New Zealand because New Zealand can play out for a draw. I reckon India need to have New Zealand in there for 2 sessions. And it may well leave New Zealand winning for the boldness of that decision. Bat until an hour before tea. Before tea, that's too late. Munchie, that's too late. Because India will have a total, if they get that far, of 200 plus. puts the question of India losing out of the question. It gives New Zealand some time to bat, but not enough. It'll be a draw. That's too conservative. I like it a bit more attacking than that. You think the match is drawn? Well, if it comes down to the wire and it's drawn, well, then you won't be unhappy about it. It'll be there's. But if India declare any later in the first session, then they're not giving them New Zealand any chance. Now, there's Kohli said it. I think Kohli could go nuts tomorrow with punt and score that. If they get 170, 180 in front, it's not a full conclusion New Zealand win the match. So much you think there'll only be 150 after the first session tomorrow in front. That's not enough, you would argue. That is probably a bit early. But if they really go for it, you don't know. You don't know. It'd be nice if they had a longer day tomorrow. They batted longer than 98 overs. They should start early and finish later, as late as we can get a play out of tomorrow, really. Bumrah has not had his heart in it since his injury and since his time off from his wedding. He's not been back into it, and it's very, very, very disappointing, as Bumrah was seen as the lead of the attack. Munchie says risk versus reward. They could go nuts or lose because going for it. Well, that's the risk you take, and everyone would commend India for doing that. They would say, "Oh, why did you do that? You moved to lose the match." Well, quite frankly, that's what it's all about. You want to win. If it means in trying to win, you lose, then it's commendable. It's seen as a great positive. It'd be great for Test cricket for this to become a real gentleman match, especially because it's the first World Test. So come on, India, declare and give New Zealand a fighting chance, and then really go for them. See if you can pull it out of the hat. They will finish in 5 minutes. Munchie reckon they'll finish in 5 minutes. Well, it's now, yeah, they're meant to be, and you're not enough in front to give them a chance. They need to be another 20 or 30 in front. 11 overs left to complete, so they will. Marvin, John, if they do finish 11 overs, it'll be very beneficial for India. I don't think it'll go that long. They're meant to be something in 5 minutes. We'll see how they decide on this, whether they'll go longer than the 5 minutes. I'm not disappointed with Indian batting at all. I think that it was disappointing they fell 7% on that day, yes. But the previous day they batted really well, so it balances it out. Munchie says they should keep playing, but I believe it ends at 7 p.m, which is another 3 minutes away. Got to love to see them continue playing. What about Ajinkya Rahani's role in the second innings? Well, Ajinkya Rahani's role in the first inning was pretty significant, not unlike a Williamson, that played an awful shot. He got the same amount of runs as what Williamson did. Williams 49 was much more valuable in the scheme of things. So much is already 6:57 p.m, correct? Or in Australian time, 3:57 a.m. Guys, we need to have a few more people watch this. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, then I'm not happy with you. Go and subscribe, please. Do me a favour. So we've got a reasonable number of people that have watched so far. Considering the game's still going on. All right. No, okay. How are you still awake? Well and truly. Well, I'm still awake, yes. Carroll could be a better option. There's no bid for upcoming India Test series. No, I don't necessarily agree. Message on the purpose of WTC is not just ICC should think again for a result. Their interest in Test cricket will that be alive. No, I think they've done a good job. Look, New Zealand, I want India to declare with 170 or thereabouts and give New Zealand a chance and really go for it and make it an exciting end of the day. That'll be really exciting. Admittedly, that'll make New Zealand in the box seat, but not really. 170 runs is a huge amount of runs. Look at the ball. Southie's bowling is keeping low. It's popping up every so often. If you get a player like, I keep saying Bumrah, but he hasn't performed well. But Ishant Sharma, if he gets his line right, oh my heavens. Well, I'm impressed with Jameson's bowling. I'm impressed with the way that Robert Sharma batted today, actually. I thought it was very impressive. But I'm also impressed with Williamson's 49 today. It was extremely important in the scheme of things. That 49 runs probably meant to well over 100 runs team-wise. Had they not got that, then New Zealand would have been looking at a score of well over 200 for them to chase in the last innings, which would have put India in position to win. So how many overs left? Well, it's now just going over the time. And there's some movement in the Ravi Shashi walking around in the background, we can see. There are Kohli's there on 5. It was 2 for 61. They're effectively now almost 30 in front. Was it 32? I think it was 32 in front. Let me look at it again. I think it was 32 in front. Just guys confirm that with me. Yeah, it was 32 in front. So India are now 32 for 31 effectively. Effectively 2 for 31. India lead by 31 runs. Another 120, 140, let's say 140 in that session tomorrow. It's now gone 7 o'clock. They showed the clock then as if to say this is the last over. Jameson will certainly get lucky. He's bowled well. He's the standout, and so is Kane Williamson. Certainly the way Ishant Sharma and Shami bowled was admirable today. And had they got Williamson early, would have been a very different score. I don't think once there was 7 down, they hadn't passed. There was 7 down when they passed in their score. So Jameson's bowling a full ball. So when did they lose their last? When did they lose their wicket? India was 7 for 192. Sorry, New Zealand was 7 for 192. Hadn't they got the rest of the wickets that quickly, they would have been below their 217 score. They went past with the 8th wicket, and 9th wicket certainly kicked on. So from the 8th wicket, which was 221, which was a 4 in front, they gathered another 28 runs. Valuable partnership. Again, Jameson and actually the Indian batters are going off and 2 for 64. So India are effectively now 32 runs in front. So India are effectively 2 for 32. So the score, let's go through the score quickly. India are all out for 217. New Zealand today all out for 249, having been at one stage 7 for 192. And Williamson was, again, important in that last section of the play, scoring 49. But Southie went for a lot of runs. Southie ended up scoring 30 off 46 and Jameson 21. So they scored 51 runs between them, which is a pretty sizable amount of the total. So again, India are 2 for 64. There's Rohit Sharma out for 30. Southie, I think, has taken 2 wickets. So they're 2 for 64. They're effectively 2 for 32 in front. The 32 in front. Well, in fact, New Zealand were 32 in front when they finished their batting. Now, New Zealand are 32 runs in front with their batting. So 32 in front. If they score between 120 and 140 in the first session, that means they're going to really be going for it. They'll give a total of around 180 in 2 sessions for New Zealand, which New Zealand should be able to get or be all out. I think that'd be a great position to be in, to be honest. It really will be. So yes, guys, we've already been on air for about 48 minutes. If you're just joining us now, any overs left? India, certainly. So 23rd of June 2013, Anshuman Galton, which is music company, said they won their last 8 years ago. 8 years ago, they won their last championship, which is tomorrow going to be 8 years on one day if they do. Past score tomorrow, you're talking about tomorrow? Look, it's going to be very, very, very hard for New Zealand to get over 200 tomorrow if they're going to reply to an innings that India puts together. So Saudi took 2 wickets. This thing's Bolt, Jameson and Wagon haven't opened their accounts. Saudi's bowled particularly well today. He got 2 wickets. The Rohit Sharma dismissal was unfortunate, but again, incredible commendation to Rohit Sharma for not going like that and reviewing his decision. It could become very important later on. We don't know. Had he done that, he would have been given out anyway because of the umpire's call. But you've got to give us. Yeah, India are in the lead by 32, 2 wickets down. it's 50-50 now, if you ask me. 50-50 is my thoughts. If India can show their mettle and go for it early on tomorrow and make a game of this from the start. I see Ashwin's being interviewed post-match. Ashwin's a great orator. He's got a very big YouTube channel, as you probably know. I don't think he should have had his YouTube channel while he was still playing, but anyway, that's his decision. He was allowed. My gut feeling for tomorrow. Let's go for it, guys. Let India go for it. Give New Zealand a sporting chance. New Zealand go for it, and we'll get a result. That's what we want. No one's going to be upset with India if they declare in a sporting fashion, not to give New Zealand a chance to win, but to get a result. And after the last two sessions, if New Zealand had to score 170, 180, thereabouts, it'll certainly put the situation in their hands. But India may be conservative and go into the second session and get 200 plus lead and then declare, giving New Zealand a chance, virtually no chance to win, and India no chance of losing, meaning a draw is likely. That would be more conservative, but not necessarily the way that I'd like to see it. 60 runs in one session is not enough. That wasn't one session. That was not even a session. What are you talking about? It wasn't one session. It's less than one session. I think they batted well. They had to do that. They batted the way of this now. Look, Robert Sharma, beg your pardon. What did he get? He got he got 30 off 81 balls. So I thought it was 18 balls. 30 off 81 balls. Considering the circumstances where he batted for 2 hours for 30, considering the situation, he set himself up pretty well to really launch tomorrow morning if he was still out. Unfortunately, he didn't survive that, but hat goes off to him. Hat goes off to Robert Sharma for his efforts today. And this game is amazingly well poised, considering how little, as long as we have a full day's playtime of 98 overs plus, it's virtually a 50 over match, isn't it, guys? Isn't it? Which would mean that New Zealand chasing 250 overs sounds pretty good, actually. But you wouldn't want too many less overs for New Zealand to bat. And they've not scored 4 runs and over the whole match. So that'll be a tall order for New Zealand to get that. But it gives India a sniff in terms of wickets. Let's have a look at the overs. Okay. So New Zealand batted for 99.2 overs for their 249. Okay, 99.2 overs. There's almost that much time left in the match. They scored 249. So if India have to bat for 50 overs, they're very unlikely to get more than 100. Let's have a look. They were 192 after 86 overs. So in only 13 overs, they scored well over 50 runs in that last session. The New Zealand side with their lower order batting. I think if you give New Zealand around 50 overs or 45 overs to go, whenever you get to that stage, which is another 40 overs of batting, you would argue that India could get over 100. That puts them 150. It's touch and go where they're going to declare, but I don't think it should bat any long in the first session. And you could conceivably, with a Rishabh Pant going for it, you could see a total of around 170. Very sporting declaration. We'll see what they do. It certainly is dangerous. It is risky, but that's what this should be about. It's a final. Winner takes not all, but takes the majority. Why not play that way? When should India start attacking virtually in the first few overs of the morning, to be honest? Don't worry. Either we'll draw or we'll win. So I think there's still a win out of this as possible. When should we start taking? As I said, just after, just almost from the beginning of play. There's some silly comments going on there. Anyone makes silly comments, I'm not going to talk about you guys. If you make some very stupid comments, I'm not mentioning it to you, so you can It can be blocked if he kept going. Conditions are totally favouring New Zealand, and they should be happy with a draw. I don't want them to go on with that attitude. Okay? I don't want them to go on with that attitude. There's no point in blocking people. I'm not going to even, I'll just ignore them. If they make stupid comments, I'll just ignore them. Okay? I won't even answer them. We always seem to be knocking umpires' call, and it's Rohit Sharma could easily have challenged that, but he didn't, and you've got to respect him for that. Rohit Sharma was amazingly unselfish by not challenging his dismissal. My hat's off to him. That's one of the pivotal moments for me of Rohit Sharma. Great character. Shane Watson, that despicably selfish player that he was, would have gone like that within seconds and would have lost the decision, would have still walked off, and would have damaged the chances of their team on his selfishness. That was typical. It wasn't even funny. Some of his teammates used to laugh about it and play a joke. I think Pat Cummins and Hazelwood used to muck around about it. The fact is, it was awful. It was disgusting. Okay, this is a good question. Will the pitch suit Ashwin and Jadeja? Absolutely. Absolutely it will. It will favour those two quite a bit, especially towards the end. And that's where Ashwin will show his worth. I really think that's where he'll show his worth. It's a huge, huge moment there for India if they can allow that to happen. All right, so guys, join me if you're on there. Join. What is it with the bowls finishing off their opponents? What's the issue with India bowling finishing off the opponent's tail? Yeah, it was a bit disappointing not getting Southey and Jamieson out cheaply. Southey's 30 is fairly invaluable, actually, in the scheme of things. Had they got them all out for a lower score and had that little extra time to bat and less runs to feature, they could have been not 2 for 30, they could have been 2 for 80 in front now, and have given them a very, very good chance of looking at that. So that's pretty crucial. So India 217, New Zealand 249. They should have got 249. They were 7 for 192 at one stage. Could have well been out for well under 217. Now, India 2 for 64. And I think both Pujara and Rohit being in there, it's still good. Rahane won't make that same mistake again. With the World Test Championship final of bench, well, first of all, it's the middle of winter here. It's freezing. It's below 10 degrees Celsius. Admittedly, England's not much warmer. But no, they played in the right location for a first match. We don't need to consider that to be a mistake. It's not a mistake. Kudos to Sharma for not calling for a review, but also kudos to Kohli to come in instead of night watchman. This is not a normal test match. If Kohli put night watchman, it would have been madness, absolute madness. And that's true. It's both the way that Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli conduct themselves are very, very, very admirable. Steve Smith and Dave Warner, with their stupid, idiotic sandpaper game, should take a leaf out of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's attitude to Test cricket, attitude to cricket. They both made a lot of money from cricket, yes, but they've still got class about them. They got no arrogance about them. They could well be extremely arrogant. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, compared to say Steve Smith and David Warner, chalk and cheese. David Warner during the IPL was sacked for his attitude, his stupidity, his matchable ways, whatever, about the way he carries on like an absolute goose. And he was complaining about being dropped as captain. Well, someone like Rohit Sharma is the consummate captain. That's why Mumbai Indians are one, and they could well go close this year, other than Delhi Capitals. Virat Kohli, what a great man, what a great person. Everybody in the subcontinent and beyond, even in Australia, look up to both Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant. When I talk to the Australians on the streets of Coogee, which is where the likes of Steve Smith and Dave want to have coffee, nobody was talking about it. One guy mentioned Dave Warner's name. The rest of them were talking about Kohli, Punt, and certainly Rohit Sharma. On the streets of Coogee, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant had more respect for those players than our Australian batters who frequent those places every day. You wouldn't have seen that happen in India. You wouldn't have seen the reverse of that happening necessarily in India, I'll tell you now. Enough said about that. Very upset at me. 10 degrees, that's a heat wave. Well, it is 4 in the morning. The tails of the two teams were the difference. Yeah, I would say, I'm afraid that might be the case against England. We must get Shardul and Bhuvi for that tour. Well, Shardul certainly, and then Washington Sundar, yes. Pam Manny on the floor tomorrow for Rishabh Pant. Let's hope he does perform. Considering the poor lower order, don't you think India will take any chance in the first session? Why wouldn't they? They've got nothing to lose. They got to lose. By losing this match, it's not a loss if they have the right attitude. My prediction: best performance tomorrow will be Ashwin or Punt. Well, Ashwin certainly in the bowling, and Punt. Oh, that was a great catch by. They're showing the catch of Shami's bowling of I think it was Ross Taylor, and then the delivery that Shami got. He absolutely clean bowled Nichols. It wasn't Nichols. It was that Watling. The special that Shami got Watling was a corker of a delivery. The New Zealand batters really went for it towards the end, and they lost their wickets accordingly. Shami bowled fantastically well. Bumrah, was he on the pitch? There's not one single highlight of Bumrah's bowling, not one single highlight. He should hang his head. He's played very, very poorly. And they should have had Siraj the team over Bumrah as it's turned out. Yep, what I said about those two, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, are all class. They're not arrogant at all. They're consummate professionals. Smith and Warner, in particular, they're disappointing. After Warner's Sandgate, the way he carried on there, and he was dropped from the side or left out of the straight, banned, whatever the term is, then for him to go to the IPL and carry on like a pork chop and not mention people's names after match, it infuriated me. What a goose! What an ignoramus! And he can't. And he's complaining about being sacked. He deserved it. He absolutely and utterly deserved it. And Australia would be better off not having him in the side, in my opinion. I've had enough of Warner. Smith is gutless. He should have been more. And if him to be reinstated as captain, no. Tim Payne should be captain for this Ashes series for both the Afghanistan match and the 5-day Test series. Not Smith. And Warner is on some very shaky ground as well. And I think that the next Australian captain should be Jason Sangha, the under-19 captain, which should be giving him a go and force him into the position of being captain and being in Australian side. Then we'd have some respect. Because Jason Sangha, at his young age, has got more decency and more nous and more panache than Warner's got Warner's got anywhere in his whole body. Really, Jason Sangha's there and Warner's there. They're both playing for rampant competition, and I think maybe Bill Anderson should get Jason Sangha to talk to David Warner, and he should listen. Did you see Bangladesh? Well, I'll say behaviours of the umpire. Well, yes, Shakib Al Hussein's lost the plot a bit, I'm afraid. I'm disappointed with Shakib. I thought a lot of him actually. Keep going, no matter how many people have. You'll reach your goal. Okay, thank you very much. Shami bowled. Was wow. Bumrah's bowling was a shocker. Yeah, that was the selection mistake of the match. Bumrah should have been replaced by Siraj, and Siraj's attitude would have been monumental today. Monumental. I don't think it's a mistake to have Ashwin and Jadeja aside at all. They should have been there. Yeah, Bangladesh has been disappointing of late, I must say. Well, I do Australian view of the World Test Championship. Well, we'll see. We'll get the feeling of. I'll talk about Rohit Sharma's admirable way that he didn't challenge his mission against Shane Watson. That's what I might do as a comparison. That's a good comparison. And I might even talk about the way that Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant hold themselves in high esteem and not arrogant compared to the Australians. That might be a worthwhile discussion. We'll see how that goes. Can New Zealand? Of course, New Zealand can win. So can India. Cummins could also be the Australian captain. Well, he certainly is a nice guy attitude. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. He's well respected, but I don't think he'll be captain. He should be vice captain for sure. But we should have a Jason Sangha as captain. I keep on maintaining it. Next couple of years, Jason Sangha should be captain. And Tim Payne should continue until he seems himself not good enough to be in the side. Because the more and more I think of Tim Payne, I think he's probably better than having Steve Smith captain again. India have a chance of winning it. It depends how bold they are with the declarations. And they've got a chance. Can New Zealand? Well, New Zealand. Well, of course, New Zealand can win. Of course, they can win. It's all up to India now. They're 2 for 32, going effectively 2 for 32. They're 2 for 64, but they're 2 for 32 in terms of the lead going into tomorrow. They score 140, 150 in the first session, which is enormous, and give New Zealand 180. They could even go into the beginning of the second session. They could a little bit. Depends how the weather is. Depends how many overs are left. But they bowl 98 to 100 overs tomorrow. That's effectively a 50-over match, isn't it? It could be an approach. Draw is the most likely result, yes. But India could create a situation where New Zealand. So what was it? Today was a crucial day with Kane clinically worked to snatch away most of the balls. Yeah, Williamson was a standout today. You would argue, if you look at a player of the type of Rahane was on 49. Rahane's 49 was not as good as the 49 that Williams had today in the comparison. The way that Rahane got out on 49 was terrible. The way that Williams batted was very commendable. Yeah, the umpiring has been beyond acceptable. So I think the umpiring is not a problem. Okay. I'm controlling spam or abuse because I'm just ignoring it. They can spam away while I'm just going to ignore it. It doesn't bother me. Legend Ashwin, T20. I'm guessing you mean the way that he plays. Sure. Of course, they could be a vital role tomorrow. They could be if New Zealand have got to get, and New Zealand are going to get anywhere more than 150. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. Well, Siraj was in the place of Bumrah. Would have been a bold decision, but it would have been the right decision. Siraj should have been in the team. And Kohli said it himself he thought he should be in there. Kohli mentioned Siraj and Sharma should be in the team. So why didn't he do it? Why didn't he not have Bumrah? That would have taken a bold decision. Bumrah was playing off belief for the past, but since he's gone away for his wedding, he's been nothing but nowhere near his best. Whether it's the injury itself or the whole state of his life, I'm not sure, but he shouldn't have played. So yeah, this is an interesting 1.5 days lost. It wasn't a 1.5 days. It was actually a full 2 days. But we gained a day back, so it's really only half. It's 1 day we're lacking. If there were 2 days, reserve not 1, 6, 7 days rather than 6, would have been pretty good. Attacking the key was to turn their line and length tomorrow. I think so. I think that there's no reason why India can't go for this. I haven't got a lot of people here following. I've got 34, which is pretty good, but looks like 739 now. Okay, good. Okay, now I don't know. I don't think that. Okay, I'll go back to the way that Kohli is an attacking player, the way that Williamson is an attacking player, with 98, let's say 100 overs left, which is effectively a 50-over match. 200 would never be enough, would it, in a 50-over match? 170, 180. 200 is probably their benchmark, which means it will take more than the first session to do that. But if they're bowling 100 overs, well, then there's every chance. Just seeing Shane Watson drop Virat Kohli off Mitchell Johnson. Okay, can India go all out in the first session? Of course they can, and they should. Let's hope they do. Let's hope they do. Let's hope they go all out in the first session. It'll be nice to see India go for it for this. They've only lost 2 wickets. They've lost their openers. It's not exactly a bad position to be in where they are at the moment. Rohit Sharma's dismissal was disappointing, but he played a bad shot, let the ball go near his stumps like that. And his decision to not challenge it, I'll repeat, was the character. I'm going to talk to people on the streets about that. The character of a man to not, and compared to a Shane Watson did that. think there's some pretty strong evidence there of something we can talk about. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant, their attitudes are immense compared to a Warner Smith and who else can we compare? This is the third person we throw. Or Bancroft, we can probably say as well. I mean, the fact that they're coming in the media now and saying, "Oh, well, I should be playing again. I should be captain again." That was a joke. He is the one to decide whether he should be back in the team as captain. No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't. The selectors should, and the Australian public should be a part of that discussion, not Steve Smith himself. Using that platform to try and win people over didn't work. Dave Warner using a platform to claim that he was pulling on by India has not worked. He's been dropped by that RPL. So good on you. Trevor Bayliss, great man, great guy. Tom Moody, I don't know about. I don't think much of him necessarily, but Trevor Bayliss, great guy. Should it be a permanent neutral venue for WTC like Dubai? If all games played in Dubai, we can become a very scrappy. It will certainly be completed, yes. But look, guys, we've only really lost one day because one day's been regained by an extra day. So we lost one day, and we can push for this and really make a go for it today, tomorrow. We can see a result. I just hope that neither side shut up shop and defend. They shouldn't do that. They should be attacking all the way to the end of the match. If they're both attacking to the end of the match and it's a draw, great. Then it'll be a good way. It's the way they play that's important to us. Jameson got out to an unnecessary shot. Well, Jameson's probably close to the man of the match at the moment. He or Wellington are close to the man of the match. But it could be wrested from them now by someone like Kohli, Punt, or Ashwin playing well on the last day to render a victory to India. That would be superb. So, Star Sports has selected Steve Orr as the best 21st captain. Second, Graham Smith. Third, Ricky Ponting. Fourth, Kohli. What's your take? I'm glad they're not mentioning Steve Smith in that realm. I think Alan Border needs to be considered as well. But Steve Orr, yes. Graham Smith, yes. I may put Kohli just in front of Ricky Ponting, but you could even put Kohli as second. But that's a fair top four in whatever order. With Waugh, Graham Smith, Ricky Ponting, and Kohli, that's not a bad fall. I don't mind that. Okay. Interesting. It could well be if those two take wickets tomorrow and win the match. Absolutely. I think they should have been in there. Bumrah has been a severe disappointment, and it's Ishant Sharma and Shami that have really held this match together for India. And really, Bumrah's performance has led the way for perhaps Siraj to be part of the Test series against England, the 5 Test series. We'll see Siraj perform in that place. Bumrah's got to get his act together because at the moment he's not worthy of his place. Didn't play well at all. This is a great question. Is there any possibility that for India to push themselves and produce something extraordinary in the opening 2 sessions? Yes, absolutely. I know it's the Gabba, it's different weekends, different conditions, but in Australia, on the last day, India had no hope of winning that match. They scored, I think, 327 on the last day. Impossible. Nobody's ever scored 327 on the last day of a Test match, especially the Gabba or any ground for that matter. But India not only went out and tried to do it, their attitude was there to do that. The Shardul Thakurs, the Gills, Pujara, they all went for it, and then Punt came on and finished it off. That's where Punt's important. Punt can't win the game by any innings this time. He'll be keeping, but he can certainly score a quick fire 50 to 80 tomorrow in the first session if he gets a chance, and put India in a position where they could be close to time in front and then boldly declare. Why not? I still want 71-80. It may be a bit low to be safe. 200 is probably safe. Well, because it's going to be hard to score 200 on this last day. My prediction for tomorrow, the least predicted thing for me is a draw. I want to see one on the other side take the scruff of the net and win the game. That would be my thoughts. Yeah, we haven't got that many people here of the first session. So people that have joined us, tell people that we're here. We're only talking for a bit longer. I've got a bit more time left on the slate. So, who will be crowned champions in case the World Cup is a draw? The ICC also confirmed that India and New Zealand will be declared joint winners of the WTC, yes, and New Zealand and will be declared joint. And if it ends exactly no, that's what's going to happen if it's a draw. It's going to be shared equally. But then both sides have to earn it tomorrow. They have to go for it and risk losing so as to win the match. That's what I'd like to see. And if that's the case, I'll be very, very complimentary, very, very complimentary of the side that takes the opportunity to declare, as India should, and give New Zealand a chance. So a match can be won by India or New Zealand. Well, we're going to need to get more than 16 wickets. You're going to need to get 18 wickets. Because India are 2 down, so that's 8 of theirs and 10 more. I don't think necessarily we need to see 18 wickets go down because India could declare it 4 or 5 down and give both sides a chance. Who's more entertaining behind the first? What do you mean in terms of the play in this test match? I'm not sure what that question means. Maybe they can explain to me. Do you agree with this? Should have been in the bowling lineup? Kumar, Siraj, Shami, Shardul. Kumar and Shardul can but. No, Jadeja and Ashwin had to be in there, so I would not have played Kumar because he was not fit. Siraj was fit. He should have played in place of Bumrah, yes. Shardul, perhaps one of the spinners, but you can't have both the spinners out. I don't agree with that. Okay, Ricky Fenners, what is the motivation for the team to go for the win when they know they can still win the WTC with a draw? That's not a win. It's sharing it. That's a hollow victory. I don't think either side will say, "Yeah, we were the best." The other side were equal to us. No, that's not a nice. It's not winning. It's sharing. It's not really a win. It's better to go for the win. What would rate Rohit's performance in terms of the swinging conditions? Rohit Sharma played pretty well in both innings, actually. He was unfortunately out, and today he was out. He did all the hard work. Will India win? Well, India will only win if they take a bit of risk here and actually go for it and score 180 in front and then declare and throw New Zealand and bowl exceptionally well. So that's. Yeah, he's definitely one of the best technically aligned, but I think Kohli's much different. They're both on the same par. How much will play tomorrow? Is it 90 out of 90? It won't be. It'll be more than 90. If weather permits, it'll be more than 90. And the last over, I think, is it 15? In the last hour, you bowl 15 or even 20. I'm not sure. 15, I think it is, in that last hour. So 98 is very, very possible. It is going to happen. It'd be nice if they played even longer than that. Let's make it a sporting 100. It all depends on the weather. It all depends on the light. A lot of factors. What approach do you think Kohli will take in the morning session, or he'll be going for it? Will he come in all guns blazing or try to keep his wicket? I think he'll come in all guns blazing. I think he will. Maybe the first half an hour a bit steady, and then he'll go for it. No problems. Let's be honest. I don't think both the teams are ready to risk losing to win tomorrow. I wanted to disagree with you on that, Marty John. I wanted to disagree with you. I want them to both, because of who they are, the calibre of these two captains, I'd like to see them have a go. No, you might be a bit upset if India declare with 170, 180 to go, and then New Zealand go there and do it in a canter. You might think, oh, that was pathetic. I'd hope it wouldn't be that way. Maybe they'll declare around the 200 mark. If it goes into the second session, they've got to start thinking about declaring. Put it that way. Trent Bolt's been admirable but not great. Jameson was a standout. Sally's bowled very well today. Ishant Sharma and Shami bowled very well. Those four a quartet that have done very well for both sides. Bumrah's virtually last. Bolt's no by no means last, but he didn't bowl. He's not bowling as well, perhaps. If Wagner could have improved a little bit. Yeah, Virat Kohli's there. He should have taken. Yes, he should. He's got a shot pump there. A little bit of luck going his way. If this was a normal test match, I would agree with you. If it was just another test match, I would agree with you. They'll play it out for a draw, but I don't think these two guys will want to do that. It's such an important first ever inaugural World Test Championship. The word will be out there, guys. You can go for it and lose admirably rather than peter out to a draw. Rohit Sharma's not appealing that LBW decision. Shows almighty class, almighty unselfishness, something I didn't see from Australian sides all like. No way do we see that from the Australian side lately. At all. Williamson's passed Stephen Fleming today, which Stephen Fleming was a pretty astute captain. He's become a good coach of CSK in the IPL. Not the flashes, but pretty dour. Best phase of Southey's career. Well, Southey is showing himself to be not unlike a James Anderson or Stuart Broad. Great longevity, great class, great intelligence. He certainly bowled well in the first England Test match a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago. He bowled well in this Test match as well, especially now. He took 2 good wickets. So, remember what Pizarro did against Australia on the last day of the Gabba Test? He batted well. I'm sure he'll handle it. He may not be going all-out attack, but the man at the other end, whether it's Kohli or if Rahane, I'd like to see Punt go ahead of Rahane in the batting. I'd like to see Punt go ahead of that. I would like to see that risk taken. Southey becomes the 3rd most hitting sixes in New Zealand. Pretty impressive. Phil only has to play safe. Just makes New Zealand well ahead. Oh, I don't know. I've been talking about Bumrah quite a bit. Very, very, very disappointing because he was, you would argue, seen as the figurehead of the spearhead of the Indian bowling attack, ahead of Shami and Ishant Sharma. But today, that he was nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. Didn't take a wicket in a match of this significance. That says it all, really, for me. I'd say that says it all for me. Yeah, guys, if you're online today, please, if you're online today now and you are viewing this for the first time or one of the first times and you're enjoying it, then please bother to go and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you can get more of these sessions. But to subscribe reflects on me very well. I mean, only 10% of the people that watch actually subscribe, which is sad. I'd like to see more. For no more than allow the channel to grow. So if you're not subscribed, please, guys, if you're not logged in, you may not have a login account, I don't know. Bother to log in, bother to subscribe. It only takes a hit of a button and a notification. Please do that. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. The first aim for India should be to be safe for the first hour of play. If they survive the first hour, we may see Kohli take them. Look, Music Hunter, it's a very conservative, typical test match approach to a match. I can see your point. Yes, but they can afford it. They need to do that. Absolutely go for it. Yeah, I just totally agree with this. It's a final. It's a final of finals. It's not just every everyday test match. Let's go for it. Let's make it something. Let's make it exciting. I don't think they look the way that Williamson declared in the first test match against England a few weeks ago and gave England a sporting chance, and England just didn't go for it and simply batted very, very conservatively because he was thinking about his own position selfishly. Compare Sibley being selfish in that match to Rohit Sharma not even going upstairs for his whistle. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Rishabh Pant, 3 of the leaders in world cricket. Australia haven't got those players anymore, I'm afraid. They've blown it from Sandgate. They've again done it during the IPL. There's a lot of dissension there. Tim Payne has his critics. Not a strong enough captain, but I'm afraid he's still the best we've got at the moment and should be the Ashes captain. And after it, we should be looking at grooming another guy, one of the younger guys, to come through and play, be the second captain. Take a bold risk and a hunch and give it to Jason Sangha. Jason Sangha should be given a go at playing for Australia. He perhaps hasn't scored as many centuries as he would like, but I'd like to see Jason Sangha give it a go and you watch him grow in the position and be the best captain Australia's had for a fair while. And having Indian background, it'll be a great role model for the whole of the world. A friend of mine, Esther, just said, "Oh my God," on Instagram. I'm not sure what she said that for. Either India 20% or a draw 80%. I don't know about those odds. I don't know what those odds mean to me. I don't think that's what we should be talking. Do I support India in this situation? Yes. I support cricket. It's just that India played more entertaining cricket as compared to New Zealand. What do you think? Yeah, I would agree with that. Although the way Jameson batted with Southey, and they both bowled well, really, Jameson and Southey have both batted well and bowled well. Take your hat off to them. And Williamson's batting was very important. I can clearly say that the first team who would risk losing to win would actually lose. So who do you think is going to risk its first, India or New Zealand? It'll have to be India. India has to risk it by declaring at some stage. Big time. Then New Zealand will take a further risk to try and go for it. That's exciting. That is exciting indeed. And I really like that. And that's why I'm hoping that... And these two guys love each other. Williamson and Kohli have a deep level of respect. Steve Smith or Tim Payne, no, not the same league as far as respect for captaincy is concerned. Comments that Tim Payne made in the Sydney Tests, I think it was to Ashwin or whoever he talked to, said, "See you in a game, mate, we're going to kill you." And they go, it smacked him in the face when they won that match. It's insulting. Williamson would never do that. Kohli, I'm telling him now, wouldn't do that either. He'd be very strong in what he would say, but he wouldn't do that. So, I think there's a lot of credit to be given to. The more I look at Rohit Sharma, the more I look at Kohli and Pant, the more I have respect for them. In Australia, if they're going to have any chance in the future, they've got to start to learn from those guys. That's what I'm saying. Pujara has to hold one end to make sure that there isn't a collapse, as with the Indian tailors, and he maybe made 10 wickets down from 5 wickets down in about 10 minutes of time. That's an extreme. I don't think that's going to happen anyway. It's an extreme thought, but yeah, Pujara needs to be in the yes. I agree with that. Well, while we're talking to the tail end batters, at the moment only 2 down. They're only 2 wickets down. They're nowhere near a tail end batting performance at all. I wonder where else some of my counterparts are. Oh, I gave out the let's see where the guys are. Just going to get, see if I can get Keshav. He's usually around at this time of night. I'm sure. I'm surprised not more. Well, tomorrow at the preview to the 6th day or 5th day of the Test match, tomorrow I will have Galton Bhattacharya. Again, he's committed to coming, and that's great. Maybe Ben Cutting will be there. We'll see how we go. He's also offering to be here at one stage. Jimmy Maxwell's another. Will India win, sir? I've been called for another one. They've got a chance if they take risk. If they don't take risk, they're going to draw the match and supposedly win. Well, it's not a win when you draw. You share. You don't win. You share. India lose 20% or draw 80%. That's pretty strong odds there for the draw. If you have a power to choose of any for the World Test Championship, what would it be for a better matchup? I still would have maintained this is the right, well, not so much Southampton as much, but they've been played at Lords. It looks like you would have got more play at Lords. The weather was slightly better at that part of London. Remember that England was the natural home to start a World Test Championship, not unlike the 50 over World Cup back in 1975. West Indies played England at the home of cricket, Lords. That was probably the disappointment. I wasn't playing at Lords. I think they made the decision early because of COVID. COVID didn't help. Yeah, that's a pity. But look, guys, just wait a minute. There's still a day worth of result. There's still set up that there could be a result here. If they had an extra spare day, there would have definitely been a result here. Anyway, but when I use other grounds, I mean, UAE keeps being popped up, but it's not really the ground where you're the first choice. The IPL may use it because of weather and the COVID situation. I get that. Australia's wintertime is not the right location. South Africa is not the right location. New Zealand not the right location. The Caribbean, well, logistically difficult to sort it out. So no, England's the right place. Absolutely. India, well, India wouldn't have been possible because of COVID. So I'm in India, but I want. How was it? Hang on. I'm missing a few comments here. I really right after seeing Bumrah in the IPL, I was not really surprised that he had such a performance, but I'd like to see where he goes from here. Well, Bumrah's lost a little bit of ticket now. Rail doesn't make any sense. Thanks to changing rules midway, that allowed them to qualify. Yeah, they were playing for because Bumrah's been very, very ineffective. Siraj should have played in place of Bumrah. That's the mistake that you could argue. Well, if Devon Conway's opening up and he's been told to go for it like a 50 hours, it's going to be very interesting. So, yeah, 4 and over doesn't sound difficult, does it, in normal one-day circumstances? But it's very difficult when you think of very, very difficult to bat in this conditions getting more than 4 and over. So, I'd be surprised. We saw Jameson and Southey in particular go for it. Yeah, it's true. Rohit Sharma, but how sportsman was he? Didn't even do that. I'm going to keep repeating that. Sharma, Watson, that's where they are at. Sharma's up here, Watson's down there. Sharma punts. Coley versus, say, Steve Smith, Warner, and I don't know, some other player on the Australian side, chalk and cheese. Any more respect, they're not arrogant at all. Forecast is apparently a clear day, no interruptions of cricket. What is your country's name? My country's name is Australia. Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. Steve Orr's country, not the Taj Mahal, of course. I mean, these two sides, England, India and New Zealand, one of those two. Very good. What is your question? I don't think I saw it. This is a good question. Very good question. Both of them struggling. Oh, Jesus. It's hard to pick. I mean, if England get their act together and put their best side on the field, including Ben Stokes and Butler and a few of the others, and well, Jofra Archer looks like he's not playing, even though it's a long way off. England have got a great chance of knocking Australia off, to be honest. Well, West Indies have done quite well in the T20. Australia's on one of their lowest drops in form. Well, Tim Payne's probably the best captain we've got at the moment. I'd say Aaron Finch is up there as well. Steve Smith can't be in that position again. I don't think if he says he's ready for it, but no, I think he hasn't. He doesn't deserve to do that again. Varun Kumar, I'm not knocking a comment. No, Dubai wouldn't have been a better slope. England's was the right location. That's it. Yeah, I think 181. I think that's a very sportsmanlike way to play. I don't know whether, the more I think about it, the more I'm not sure whether India will do that. At least 200 is a psychological mark, but that's going to be well into the second session, which eats into the time. But a 50 over match, 200 is probably the right time. What strategies India should do with this match? Think win. Everything they do, they should be thinking about winning. Everything, the way they bowl, the way they bat, the way they field, the timing of the innings, just the declaration to be to win the match, not to be conservative and not look. If they shouldn't be looking at not losing, they should be looking at winning. That makes any sense. Not losing means they bat as long as they can, eat them enough time. But to win, they'll declare when it's possible to win. That's what I would say with that. Yeah, we're doing okay, guys. So, guys, anyone that's online that hasn't actually subscribed, I mentioned it before, please bear with me. If you're here online this late at night, you may not have subscribed. Go into your thing, hit the subscribe button while we're talking, and the notification button. Or if you need to log in and subscribe and notify. Please. Yeah, the whole match has been a roller coaster. It's been fantastic. Did you notice India's gave 20 plus runs in extras, whereas New Zealand bowlers gave only 500? That makes a huge difference. Yeah, it's a hard one. Some of the deliveries that Shami were bowling were swinging the hell out of themselves, but post wicket. Rishabh Pant, albeit he's a great batting talent, we know that. His keeping is not necessarily as good as Ridham and Saha's, let's be honest. But it's still pretty good, and he made a pretty good effort. But yeah, it was a few too many suddenlies going by, and letting Southey get the runs, that's 50 runs right there. You could argue that 50 runs will make a difference tomorrow. But let's not think about that. It's useless thinking about it now. You've got the total, they're 2 for 32. Let's get 180, 200 runs and then bowl well and win. Then you can forget all that other stuff. The rain has spoiled the match, yes. But when you think about it, it's really only 1 day that's been lost. 1 day. That means a test to be on in 4 days. It's normally not a problem. New Zealand are going to certainly feel the pressure because they haven't been in as winning situations. So yeah, and if New Zealand think this, if you think that New Zealand will be satisfied with a draw after their tie and loss in the last World Cup, no, they won't be happy with that. New Zealand will want to win. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar would have been good in these conditions, certainly, but he wasn't there. He wasn't fit. He wasn't up to it, despite being a good player. Simple. I mean, that's probably the most likely result. I'll have to agree, but let's not approach that way. Well, because they had arrogant management. Australia's downfall has started from their administration, their lack of proper grassroots cricket for men's anyway. Women's is going gangbusters. There's been a lack of development. I don't know why, with junior cricket as much as I would like. A lot of arrogance about the Australian team, which has not helped. Interest maybe have waned as well. All sorts of issues. Okay. Very much the Sunil Gavaskar type of comment, to be honest with you. This is more of his style of cricket. He's quite conservative. Sunil Gavaskar is saying that India is not going to win. Their win is to draw the match. Maybe. It's probably the right. It's probably an intelligent thing to say. Who will win tomorrow? I'm hoping India did, but yeah, they should bat the first session, but not more. That's my opinion. Varun Kumar, you're already looking ahead. Let's get to this match first, but we'll talk about it. India versus England. It's 5 test matches, and India will have a lot of prep with this match, to be honest with you. They've got a great bowling lineup. They've got a great deal of depth with Siraj and Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur. They've got a lot going on. That's good there. Allow Sharma and Gill to flourish. I think it's a good series. India will do a lot better than New New Zealand beating England. England will do a lot better than they did against New Zealand, I think, but they should be a very even contest. It should be very exciting. Well, I'll be covering every Test match here, so you'll get to see the updates on that as well. We'll have a lot of great English commentators as well. Well, to take McDowell, DRS, incredible respect for him not to have done that. Incredible respect. I'm really, really loving the way that he did that. It's a big comment for me. Very, very impressed with Robert there. I'm telling you now. Very impressed. No, he shouldn't have. Well, that's me saying. I mean, he quite frankly, some people would argue that he should have, but he didn't, and he would have lost it anyway. Very unselfish. Great moment in cricket, watching that happen. To be honest with you, great moment in cricket. I love it dearly. Just looking at any comments here that I wanted to bring up. In India now, what time is it in India now? It's 12:26, just past midnight. Who are the commenters on Fox Network? Well, they're basically the ICC commentators of Isigua, Gavaskar, Sangakkara, and Ambition. We're getting their feed. How can India win? By getting as many runs in the first session as they can, setting a total of 200 odd, and watching New Zealand crumple. And Jamieson bowled still pretty well, but he bowls well in the first innings. Very highly committed. Do you think the Kiwi bowlers are heavily dependent on South Indian bowls? Well, naturally they are, as are England with Broad and Anderson, as are Australia over the years with Stark and Cummins and Hazelwood. Yes, definitely. Well, Pat Cummins has to make the cut. He's up there. But Bumrah was, before this Test match, was up there, but he's not that impressive at the moment. I'm sorry. Charming the way he bowled. Why not put him up there? Probably in world cricket, Cummings, James Anderson have to be up there. Dale Staple's not playing, so I can't put him up there. One of the South African bowlers would be up there too. Rabada would also be up there, in my opinion. Yes, I agree with that comment. India's batting's been very, very, very commendable. They got 217, New Zealand got 249. That was on the back of Williamson, the way he batted, and Devon Conway. Two batsmen got them through. So, and a good bit of tail whacking there too. So, I don't think India batted badly at all. I think they've done pretty well. Perhaps it was disappointing that Kohli didn't. After the first innings of 3 for 146, they could have set the tone. But New Zealand came back. They bowled well. This is very much a bowling wicket. So really, even Rohit Sharma, frustratingly, didn't get big scores, but he did a lot of good as well. Well, anything over 200 in the last two sessions is going to be difficult on this pitch. Who is this man? I'm not sure you're talking about. Not Australia. Look at Sri Lanka set up. Yeah, I'm trying to do that, Rahul. Sri Lanka have been very poor for quite some time. They've cleaned out some of their captaincy roles. They've got rid of a few players. Jamuth Karunaratne is still a great player. I like him. Angela Matthews was admirable, certainly, and Dinesh Chandra was okay. Roshan Dickwella, one of the best keepers Sri Lanka's ever had, and will go down that record once he plays a few more tests. He's already starting to reach all the records. He's second or third in all the records. He'll eventually go past them all. Yeah, the way came, but his batters with facial guts, the way that Rohit Sharma did not go for the DRS, took a lot of class as well. Which have countries with similar connections to England? Well, obviously New Zealand is a standout there. It's going to be interesting every time they play cricket. This is wonderful. The England-India series will be also very significant. But this game, I want it to have more importance than it seems to still have. And that's why I want India to go for it. Well, it's true. It's very late. For most people that I'm dealing with, it's 3 to 4 in the morning where I am. The Indian people also. It's well past 11 o'clock midnight. I can't expect them to be on every day, guys. A lot of them have been on here very regularly. They have a certain limit down. They can't be on every night. Their families won't let them do it. I'm doing it because it's my show. So I'm not concerned by that at all, guys. All right, guys. You got any more questions for me? Just to recap, if you want me to. Let's have a look here. Okay, let's have a look here. What was I looking at? I was looking at something just then. The scores, okay? Of course, India are all out for 217. We saw that. And New Zealand started today at 2 for 101. They're not getting 249, which was quite a reasonable total under the circumstances. And you can thank Williamson for his 49 there. Devon Conway got 54, of course. But Southie's 30 was pretty impressive as well. And then India a 2 for 64, going pretty well. The bowl of the day was Sharmi when he got Watling. That was a monumental delivery. What a great delivery. Sharmi bowled really, really well. The way Bumrah should have bowled, but he didn't do that. Sharmi, Bumrah today. And this whole test. Yes, of course, there'll be more people going. Is it win the final day? Well, hopefully it's India. It's going to be interesting. I hope it's not the draw that wins. After the World Cup, what kinds of videos can we expect from you? Because I love your street news. You may get more subs like that. Well, I'm not after subs, but I love doing that. And I'm going to talk about the impact of a Rohit Sharma, the attitudes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant, as opposed to some of the Australian players, as my example. Disha Segal, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of the 100 at all. I think it's garbage. That's my thoughts. T20 is pretty good. Timeless test, well, that's way, way back. But we kind of had an almost borderline timeless test here. We had one more day we would have been right. Sharmi was outstanding by a country mile. Sharmi was outstanding. Boy, was he outstanding. He was brilliant. And my pre-show tomorrow will have Galton Bhattacharya. He was here the other day with David Gravity. Magnificent Indian senior journalist, worth watching. Who's the batting has most impressed you the most from each team in this final? Please reply to this last question. Well, I'm very impressed with certainly Williamson today. He was magnificent. Devon Conway batted well too. But with Sharma, I've been impressed with, but he hasn't gone on with it. That's the only disappointment. Otherwise, he's batted pretty admirably. Ajinkya Rahane, despite getting 49, his dismissal was atrocious. And it was a pivotal moment where India could have really forged ahead, and that dismissal was atrocious. Bizarre for someone that experience. India missed Siraj, no doubt. No doubt. India missed Siraj. A result's very possible tomorrow. Of course, if it's 100 overs, it's a 50-over match. Why wouldn't it be? Kane and Rahane. Kane was not, unfortunately. He batted well. Kane not getting 100. Well, that's all. No, he's going to get 100 this test match. Rahane was most disappointing with his mode of dismissal. That was pretty ordinary, I must say. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant, Sharmi, they are the future of cricket. It's not just the ability of their batting and bowling and keeping and fielding. It's about their attitude. And they're exemplary. Exemplary. I think they should. I'd like to see them declare at lunch. But if you're going to declare, you might as well declare a little bit before lunch, get 2 bites of the cherry, or bat for an over after lunch, just to stabilise the New Zealand. If they're going to bat to lunch, they might as well bat for an over or 2 after. In other words, giving the New Zealand batters out in the field back in the set, give them a bit of disjointedness. I think that would be cheeky. Absolutely, 100%. Putt should go in before Rahane. Absolutely. If they want to win the match, they should do that. I felt that they shot the IPL. What do you mean? The PL. What do you mean? I didn't get that point. I thought that they shot the PL. I didn't get that question. Anyway, I need to answer. Thanks a lot for the answer. My pleasure. I like when people actually respond with those sort of comments. So I like that sort of comment. I'll be photographing that. Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think Jadeja and Punt both should go above Rahani's tomorrow. Agree totally, absolutely. Now you're talking. Now you're making some good sense. Have a lot of time for that decision. Absolutely. Again, people, if you're joining the program, Ashaz, for example, I'm not sure, Satvi Bagari, if you're joining the show and making comments and you haven't subscribed, please spend a moment while we're talking to go into the subscribe button and hit subscribe. Make it subscribed with a D, of course, and notification button. Just do that while I'm here. That would be appreciated, guys, because I can see evidence of if you're joining, if you do that. That's something that I like to see. Not just for me, but just in general. It makes it worthwhile me doing this if I obtain subscribers, because I'm not getting anything really out of this other than the joy of doing it, guys. So, and joy of gaining viewers and enjoying that whole process. I'm already subscribed. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then your job then is to share on your WhatsApp groups, on your social media, on your Facebook Messenger, on your emails. Share. If you can do, that'd be great. Is there live interaction through YouTube? Well, I'm on a StreamYard platform here. If someone wants to join with me live now and they think they're up to it, and please don't try anything up to it. Unnecessary shot by Williamson on 49. Yeah, but he batted particularly well. Particularly, extremely important innings. If you'd like to join me online, live, well, I'm willing to do that. I'll see how you go. Please don't do it if you don't think you're up to it, okay? If you don't think you can talk about cricket, well, don't do that. Don't make it difficult for yourself. Do it if you really think you're capable of doing it. And if you are, then you can send me, go to my see down below, you can see my that's my Twitter handle and also my Instagram. Go to my Instagram page at norm.koch, at normkoch, NORMKOCH. Send me your email address and your proper name. I'm not taking if your name's not reflected on your YouTube channel, I'm not taking it. If you're called something other than what you really are, I don't really want to take you on. Okay, so if you are, send it to my Instagram channel right now, Instagram page at Norm Koch. I'll send a message. I'll see what your email address. Say you're watching and I've asked you to do it, then I'll send you the link. How about that? So will it be a win or a will it be a win or a draw for New Zealand winning? Well, New Zealand will have a great chance of winning if India allow it to happen, and that's up to India. But the draws is the most likely. But let's make a game of it, guys. Of course, they will be impactful. They give it a 200-run lead. I mean, any team playing Ashwin and Jadeja in the last innings with having to score 200, watch out. It'll be very interesting. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. For India, not bowling session, Shami should open with Ishant instead of Bumrah. I agree. We've got Gil joining us. Aha.
Hello. No, how many viewers you have at this time?
I started before the game even finished. I enjoyed that. Watching the game and talking about it. It's quite a good way to do it, Gil.
The game.
I was watching the game, but I was talking to people about it. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I think only those people would have joined the show who would have not enjoyed the commentary, and that would have been quite a few people if the game was being held in India, because the commentary panel that Star has isn't really great one, but I think the ICC has a pretty good commentary panel for this World Test Championship. I really like the commentary panel that they've had, and just want to say that I've personally found someone like a Dinesh Karthik to be brilliant. I've really enjoyed his commentary. Dinesh Karthik has been really good, and he's been quite refreshing on that front.
And it's very refreshing to have you, Gil, on the show as well. To be honest,
Yeah.
you're fantastic. And how's Gilly's cricket going? Have you done your show today?
No, so like I told you, I don't do shows every day. What I do is I invite a few guests,
Features.
and whenever I invite them, I then edit it and then I release it later, once every week. So yesterday I released an episode with Mazhar Arshad, the statsman from Pakistan. I don't know if you've heard of him. So
Yes.
he was there, and he spoke a lot about how they have to dig up stats in real time, and how it works, and how a few of the commentators are very well researched. He mentioned how someone like an Ian Bishop is so well researched that he always keeps questioning whatever stat he brings in, and he really gets deep into the context of those stats. And apart from that, he mentioned how the social media outrage works. He said that if you praise tea,
To
people
be
say
really honest with you,
you are against
to be
coffee.
honest,
If you praise coffee,
to be really
so he
honest with
said
you,
if you praise coffee, then
Gil,
you're against tea.
what's that? I'm talking over you. What did you say?
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say,
I
Gil.
was quoting my latest test.
Okay. I must tell you something, Gil. I have a lot of people on the show, as you know. I've had probably about 40 or 50 different people over the last 6 months, probably close to 60 people, all very like incredible cricketing greats like Steve Waugh and what have you. But you know what? I'm enjoying you one of the most. Why? Because in my opinion, you've grown. You were good at the beginning, but you've grown. You've developed into a very consummate commentator, presenter. You've got your own show, which is beautifully staged, beautifully designed. It's worth watching. People will watch it more in the future. And I hope our guests that are on today, our viewers will watch that, because I know, I'm getting 40,000, 15, 20,000 watching my show. I'm very happy with that. It's taken a while to get there, but I've gotten there. I predict that you will get that same level of coverage over time. And the reason being, you're extremely knowledgeable, you're well presented, you've got a great attitude. You're a bit comical, especially with Alan Mullally. You did very good with him, and I like it. So hats off to you. Hats off to you. And here's my hat. I've got.
Yeah. So the thing with Alan Mullally is that when he was on the show for the first time, I figured out that he's someone who really doesn't want to take it too seriously, and keeps it light. So when I was having a conversation with him, I focused on that. I focused on sort of pulling his leg a little bit, joking around with him, because I just figured that he's now probably played so much of cricket that he really doesn't want to get into those serious conversations about cricket. People like us, because we haven't played at the highest level, we still have that the nut about us, because we somehow feel that the appetite that we have for cricket hasn't been filled. That is why we keep doing these shows, because we want to talk about it. But
True.
the people who've played it, their appetite for, I think, the game fell, was full long enough, because they've played it so much. And I think that is once their appetite was full, they chose to retire. And once you do that, I'm not sure if you really want to talk about the same thing with the same level of enthusiasm like people like us do, because we just have so much of appetite for it that we look for different ways to fill it. And I think these shows are just another way to do it.
True, but Alan needs to be wary that sometimes he goes a bit too far with certain people and does some strange. When he puts people's mobile numbers on the screen, that's not good. When he brought in Hansi Cronio's sister or whatever she is, I can't remember what sister or partner. I think that was a bit too much, a little bit. And the way he
Yeah.
and Chris Vernon, there's something not right there, and I had to be very much in the middle of that one. That adds a bit of spice. Chris, Alan will be on again. Don't worry, he's been on a lot. And what people need to remember, Gil, you and I, we love this. We do it every day without even blinking. But the whole rest of the commentary team can't be on every night. They've got families on the case. Sometimes they got to have a break. It's very difficult to do what we do. We're very dedicated to what we're doing. We can't expect. People often ask me, "Where is everybody? Why haven't you got thousands of guests?" Well, I can't expect guests to come on every single night.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult because also the time difference makes it difficult as well.
There's no one going to get in Australia at 3 a.m. in the morning to come on the show, I can assure you.
yeah, it's and you have to consider that Indian fans have been probably watching the game for the last 7 8 hours. They've been waiting patiently. The game although started at 4 p.m. Indian time, but they were waiting in anticipation for the game from 2 p.m. Indian time. From
Exactly.
2 p.m. to game lasting till 11 p.m. That's 9 hours. You've
That's
been so engrossed in watching the game that it can become difficult to then have that much of concentration to go through the whole day again, especially someone who's watched the full day anyway. There's very little incentive for that person to watch the show for us to talk about the same thing which he's probably done. And
But then there are new people that come on too who may be coming on for the first time. That's
yeah,
also exciting for me.
yeah,
Let me just
yeah.
quickly show the hacks. I've got to show the hacks. There's the I think that's the what's the difference in these colours? I don't even know. Okay, that's called the French navy blue. That's the black. What is it? That's black. Hang on. That's black. Do you like them? I know they're not going to suit your
No,
style.
they look good. They look good. They
Then you
look
got
good for sure.
then you got
Yeah,
the white,
yeah,
and then you got
yeah.
the
I just want to know. I just want
latte
to
brown.
know. Yeah, I saw that. I just want to know how many people here do actually think that India have a chance because very honestly, I think that if we are being realistic, if we are being realistic, India had a greater chance of victory in Sydney when Pujara and Pant had been dismissed and Ashwin and Hanuma Vihari batted for 45 odd overs to save the game. Because I was just telling this to someone, for India to win, 18 wickets have to fall tomorrow. That essentially means that one wicket is falling every 5 overs. And I don't think it used to happen even when cricket used to happen in, undercover pitches. Uncovered pitches, you didn't have 18 wickets falling in a day, and there used to be 120 overs then. So I don't know how people are thinking that India can win this game. It's extremely absurd because I don't see India declaring anyway. India
But
won't
hang on
declare
now.
by
But you
yeah.
can look at the other way around, though, Gil. There's what 98 overs, potentially even 100 overs tomorrow. That's a 50 over
No,
game.
no, I think that there will be at max 90 overs because we have to keep in mind that it's the fast bowlers who are bowling those overs, and the over rate is not going to be 15 overs per hour. It will probably be at best 13 overs per hour. So even if you play 7 hours of cricket, which is accounting for the extra time, you will only get 91 overs. So there's only one team that can win from him here, which is New Zealand. And say if they get India all out within another 100 odd runs, maybe then they can go for a target. But I don't see India declaring before tea anyway because uh,
But
this
hang
is
on, you
not a
said
very
I'm going to be nasty here. You said, was it yesterday, and maybe yesterday, the day before? You said to me that India will not get New Zealand out for lower than 217. Well, at one stage, India had New Zealand 7 for 192 and could well have been
yeah,
below
I know.
217.
I know,
So,
but I'd said that India would do very well to get New Zealand out under 250 or around 250, which is what they did. Because I know that New Zealand has batting depth. Someone like a Saudi can smash it, which he did. And so people don't realize this that uh, it's not that the Indian tail always does poorly. The Indian tail can do well if it's playing in the conditions which is suited to. The Indian tail doesn't fold up that easily when they're playing in India because they're more accustomed to batting in India. They're really not the same players when they're batting overseas, especially not in these conditions. And someone like a Tim Southee, people often forget, he was batting at number 5 in the under 19 World Cup for New Zealand in 2008. So he's a batsman. Kyle Jamieson can swing the bat, and we've seen even Trent Bolt averages around 10. So does Neil Wagner. So I don't know why people were thinking that the New Zealand tail would fold up quite easily. I'd said that I was on the Bharat Army show after the day in the pre-match show yesterday when there was no game, and I said India would do very well if they could get New Zealand out for 250. What people don't realize is that with how the things panned out and with how the conditions were, India turned out to be a bowler shot, which you really can't plan for because you didn't anticipate this much of rain. So India were only bowling with three bowlers, and in that first session where they gave away only 35 runs and took three wickets, it took a lot out of the Indian bowlers. People need to realize that there is no way any trio of bowling or any four bowlers can sustain the same level of pressure in the next session. If you've bowled 25 overs for 35 runs, there's no way you can do it again. Which is why runs were going to come at some stage or the other for New Zealand. So I really don't understand where the whole frustration of Indian fans is coming about. The last time India conceded, the lowest that India have conceded in a session is 22 runs when South Africa were dead batting in Delhi in 2015 with De Villiers and Amla just blocking everything. Before that, there was a test match in 2008 in Nagpur when in the first session India gave away only 37 runs and took one wicket in 25 overs. So to give less than 40 runs and take three wickets in a session is a monumental effort. People really need to understand that and put it in context of the game. If it not been for that session, India could have easily conceded a lead of 100 runs and would have been staring at down the barrel going into the final day. So I really find this very absurd that people are thinking that India didn't do enough today. India did very well. India, I think, did as well as they could have, and with the kind of bowling that New Zealand have, they have four proper bowlers in these conditions. T Grandhome didn't even get a ball, and what people don't realize is that it's not just that New Zealand have four pacers. The variety, they have a bowler in Jamieson who can seam and swing, and he can do it at 80 miles an hour. Then you have a Neil Wagner, who's probably the best first change bowler in the world. Then you
Oh,
have
for
Trent
sure.
Bolt and Tim Southey. So you two left arm bowlers in left arm fast bowlers in any pace attack is a luxury. When was the last time you saw any top cricketing team having two left arm fast bowlers in a test match? I I, I have
Maybe
been watching
Australia
cricket.
did it. Australia did it once before. I can't remember. I think Australia might.
I've
But
been watching cricket for 18 years and I have never seen that. So people don't understand these things. And when you have a top five which is dominated by right-handers, the challenge becomes even more tougher. So I don't know how people are thinking that India can bat aggressively, etc., etc. It doesn't happen every day. People are
actually,
just spoiled. People are
I
just
was
spoiled
talking.
after what happened in Gabba, and what happened in Gabba was once in a 30 years affair. People need to get that. They just don't seem to understand this. There's only one likelihood possibility tomorrow, which is a draw. And if there is one team that could win tomorrow, that is New Zealand. There is no way India can win it. Uh,
So you don't think
Realistically.
you don't think India will take a risk, in your opinion, and declare after lunch tomorrow?
India will back till deep. India would ensure that they have a lead. Wherein if they were to put New Zealand into bat, New Zealand have to score at 5 runs per over, which could be say if India bat 50 overs, and the best case scenario on this pitch is that you could score runs at 3 runs per over, because so far the average run rate has been around 2.25. So even if India bat 50 overs at a run rate of 3, they get to a lead of 180. That leaves New Zealand 180 runs in 40 overs to chase, which I think is still something that they can achieve. So India would probably look to bat maybe 5 more overs and ensure that the target that is left with New Zealand is one where they have to score at 5 runs per over minimum. So
I know that you're speaking very logically. Okay, Gil, you're speaking very logically about a normal test match where a team doesn't want to lose. Okay, most test matches in this position, the team playing will want to not lose. I don't mean win, but not lose. Therefore, bat long enough where it's impossible for the team to win, and then put hell of a lot of pressure on them. Right? I get that. But because this is a World Test Championship final, and they're going to still, they're going to have this pathetic draw and tie, or at least share it. Don't you think Kohli and Willis want to win this, as opposed to not lose? Win as opposed to not lose, meaning that to take the risk to win is more important to them than to not lose.
No,
Does that make
I
sense?
don't think so. Like I said, a win was more likely in Sydney even after Rishabh Pant and Cheteshwar Pujara had been dismissed, and Ashwin was batting on one leg and Hanuma Vihari was batting on no Ashwin was batting with a bad back and Hanuma Vihari was batting on one leg. So I know a draw would come out as a dampener, but the thing is we keep saying that Test cricket is the best format, And if it is the best format, then we need to accept that the results which come with it. And draw is very much a result in test matches. We've seen draws before, and you don't want to do something suicidal wherein you'd much rather want to share the trophy than not lose it. And the odds are such that
Do you really think if you sit Coley and Williamson down, they're going to be happy with the draw? Do you really think that?
I don't think any team would be happy with the draw, but both the teams are mature and smart enough to realize that a win is more or less out of the question unless there is something dramatic happening.
Okay. What I'm getting, what I'm looking here for is the way that Williamson, the first Test match against England, declared and gave England a chance, and England didn't take it, and basically shriveled up and didn't do anything, right? Which was very poor on England's behalf. It's a bad image, okay, from England. So bad conservatively, because they lost the next match, they lost the series. Had they have gone for that result and still lost, it would look a lot better for them, is what I'm saying to you. I think if India bat out way too long and make sure it's not a win, it'll be, I think a lot of Indian public will be quite upset with that. I think they won't like to see that happening. So it has to be a sporting declaration where perhaps you would argue that they can't lose the match from that position, but there has to be an element of sportiness about it. Like they should declare at some stage around that second session. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm getting at?
So yeah, I'm getting to it. Just wait. So
do you understand why I'm saying that? I would like them to stand proud and say we've tried to win this.
So when that happened, New Zealand at the end of day 4 had a lead of New Zealand at the end of day 4 had a lead of around 130 runs already. Okay, because they were 62 for 2, and they had a first innings lead of around first innings lead of around 103 runs. So they had a lead of around 160 150 plus anyway going into the final day. So New Zealand could have batted only 30-40 overs and put a target which was sort of safe, because when England came out to bat, they needed to bat at a run rate of 4 runs per over. And considering how frail that English batting lineup was, them attempting the target would have more or less meant that they would lose, because Sibley is not the kind anyway who can score fast. They could have only chased the target if Root would have batted till the end, and once Root was dismissed, there was no way that they could have chased it. Now India, on the other hand, India just have a lead of 32. India need another 150 runs on the board anyhow, okay, regardless of how they bat. And adding 150 runs on this pitch is going to take you minimum 50 overs. After that, you leave New Zealand with a target of 118, 40 overs, which I don't think is worth enough taking a risk, especially when you could lose the trophy. You could very well share it. And I don't think New Zealand's also the kind of bowling attack that will allow India to score 150 runs in those 50 overs. So we are pretty much in a stalemate anyway. But the good thing is that it is a stalemate where there's a very good contest between both bat and ball. So I'd much rather want India to bat as long as they can, rather than risk risk batting aggressively after lunch, and then put themselves in a spot of bother. Who's to say if they just add another 100 and 120 runs and then leave New Zealand a target of 150 in 50 overs, then New Zealand can very well chase it. So why would you want to risk that? You've played so well over the course of 2 years.
Gil, you're talking very logically, very intelligently, very sensibly. But don't you think New Zealand will be extremely frustrated yet again, not clearly winning a championship?
They would be, but you know what?
They're not going to. New Zealand not going to be going, oh, wasn't it great? We shared it. Oh, wow. New Zealand.
I'd say something. Unlike 2019 World Cup final where they were unlucky, I think they've been pretty lucky in this Test match, because one, they won the toss. Two, if you compare the innings of Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli was dismissed, on probably the first bad shot that he played. On the other hand, Kane Williamson, had a lot of edges and misses. He got beaten. He edged it, but the edge landed short. He was continuously tested, and you go back to the evening of day 3. Devon Conway got beaten a lot of times, but on the other hand, Rohit Sharma was dismissed in the first bad shot he played on the day 2 morning. So if you look at from that point of view, New Zealand have been very lucky in this test match. And if you reverse everything, say New Zealand had lost the toss and India had bowled first, then there was no way New Zealand was winning this game. Then India would have been the only team who could have forced a win. So I'll tell you what, New Zealand has been very lucky with the time that has gone off because of the rains. Because if India bat well and if India are able to post a target of 250, there is very little chance that New Zealand can chase 250 batting 4, because the pitch would have deteriorated, the sun would have beaten down, there would have been variable bounce, and variable bounce would have brought in two best spinners in the world that we know right now in Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin, along with the three paces that India have had. So New Zealand have had the fair share of luck which they didn't have in the 2019 World Cup final.
Okay, put all that discussion to one side. We've got 1 day's play tomorrow, 90 overs, whatever it is, 98, whatever amount of overs it'll be. Both teams can control what happens tomorrow, right? Okay. In other words, okay, Rohit Sharma got out today, and I'll talk about Rohit Sharma in a minute. I've got something I want to say about Rohit Sharma. But do you think Rishabh Pant will put up the order? Do you think the next wicket to fall will see Rishabh Pant walk out?
No,
Right.
because if he comes in and he gets out early, then there is a lot of pressure on Ajinkya Rahane and the lower middle order. So no, that's not happening.
Okay. All right.
India would want that both Pujara and Kohli are batting till lunch.
Okay. So, Pujara is not known for his fast run scoring. Okay, we know that. Will they be attacking in their batting efforts? Will they be going for shots? Will they be attempting to win the match? Will they show at least effort to win the match, or will they shut up shop? I'm talking about Pujara now, and even Rahane.
Pujara is going to bat like how Kane Williamson batted today. There's not going to be much difference. I think even both Pujara and Kohli till lunch are going to play on the merit of the deliveries. They're not going to think about setting a pace or forcing a target or anything, because you saw Kyle Jamieson bowl today. Kyle Jamieson bowled his 10 overs for 15 runs, and he was quite threatening. And Kohli got hit on the head today. If Kohli had been dismissed,
there's an uneven bounce, Gil. There's an uneven bounce, something horrid.
Yeah,
and quite frankly, it's going to get more and more difficult tomorrow.
Exactly. And if Kohli would have been dismissed, on that delivery that hit on his head, if it had taken his bat and he would have been caught, India would be, panicking at this moment, because then you don't have any experience left after Pujara and Rahane. And we've known Rahane to throw his wicket away on quite a few occasions.
Well, take the first innings in this match. That was very disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see Kohli and Pujara doing anything fancy in the first session. It's going to be very similar to how Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor batted today. They'd look to protect their wicket and bat time, more importantly.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to be exciting, Gil. I don't want it to fizzle out to a boring draw. Okay, I don't want that. I want to see a risk taken. I really do.
See,
I know you're not agreeing with me, but
yeah, but what people don't realize it. Even attritional cricket can sometimes make for very good cricket. You have to look at the first session that you saw today. It was attritional, but no one can tell me that the cricket has not been great cricket. It's been attritional, but it's been great. It was, for a change, we've seen so much of T20 cricket anyway that sometimes when we see bowlers dominate, we feel that this is boring. But if you truly love Test cricket, which a lot of people say that okay, Test cricket is the best cricket, then I don't see any reason for any complaint that happened in the first session today. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
So would Indian supporters be unhappy with India if they go for it, give it a sporting declaration, and New Zealand win? Will Will they be perceived to be stupid to have done that? Will there be a lot of negative comment, or will there be an admiration of the way they've approached it?
Indian fans Indian fans call a decision good or bad basis on the result. Indian fans mostly operate in hindsight. So today you'll find them speak before the game begins tomorrow. You will find a lot of Indian fans say, "Oh, they should go for a win. Oh, they should go for a win," etc., etc., etc. And if by any chance India do collapse going for the win tomorrow and they lose, the same people after the game are going to say, maybe that wasn't the greatest idea. Maybe they should have batted time. Maybe they should have played for a draw. A draw is better than a loss. So, you know, uh, I've
You
always
can't
felt
win with that attitude.
yeah, I've always felt that good institutions, not just cricket teams, good institutions and good organizations do not work on how the perceptions are formed outside. You work on what you believe works best for you. So if Indian team is thinking what the fans are going to say, then they're not playing against New
No,
Zealand.
but no one. I didn't imply that we're worried what the
Yeah,
fans are going to say. No, I'm not implying that.
yeah.
But okay, I'll take a step back for a minute. Rohit Sharma, this Test match, has impressed me no end, especially in the second innings when he was hit on the leg on the pads and was given an LBW, and he didn't challenge the review with the review. I have the utmost respect for him doing that. Okay. As it turned out, it was an umpire's call and he would have been given out anyway. But I would have understood for him to try to review the decision, right? And he didn't do that. He was very, very, very unselfish in that response. Would you agree? Because I can assure you, if you make a comparison between Rohit Sharma in that situation and Shane Watson would have had his hand up like that within a split second. He proved that through his whole Test career. He was
Shane Watson,
extremely selfish and was mocked for that.
Shane Watson can review even a bold dismissal. Forget an LBW.
But that shows the lack of. He's not a good player. I'm sorry. His attitude's horrific. It actually shows the true Shane Watson. Whereas Rohit Sharma, I'm going to be talking to people on the streets of Sydney, not tomorrow, maybe the day after, about once this match is over. I'll be talking to people about the class difference, the humbleness or the professionalism or the decency of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant compared to a Steve Smith, Dave Warner, and a Bancroft. Okay? Do you understand what I'm getting at? Australia look up to our best players, and we can't look up to Smith, Warner, and Bancroft at all. After that, with the Sandpaper Gate and Warner's attitude in the IPL recently, right? Where the way that Rohit Sharma today did that with the non-request for a review, the way that Virat Kohli's played and Rishabh Pant, there's a lot of superlatives about their attitude, not just their ability to play. What do you think of that?
Yes. So firstly, I think the way Rohit's batted as an opener, many people wouldn't have expected him to do this well because he's been known to go fishing outside the off stump. But the scores may not tell you this, but he's genuinely batted well. He's left the ball.
Absolutely.
He's left the ball really well, and I thought he was slightly unlucky with the dismissal today because I thought the LBW shout against Kane Williamson, which with Mohammad Shami, where the TRS returned umpire's call, that was much more adjacent than Rohit Sharma's LBW decision. But it happens; you can't do anything about it. And like you said, it was quite selfless of him to not review it, even when India wouldn't have lost the review because it came out to be umpire's call. So yes, this is a discussion which we haven't had before, that in these countries, especially when you talk of India, when you talk of Australia, when you talk of England, cricketers aren't just any other people who are in a profession. They are people who influence how the general public behaves, how general public forms perceptions. So it's important that they carry themselves in that manner. And so far the way they've carried themselves on the field, it's something that we can't be complaining much about. Sometimes people do have a problem with the celebration that Virat Kohli brings into the pitch, with a lot of pumped up energy. But I think it's just the passion and the innocence that he carries.
It's directed in the right way. I don't think Virat Kohli's reaction it's directed in the right way. To be honest with you, I'm impressed. I think the way that India and New Zealand conduct themselves through this series, this match, has been incredible. They're great fairness in what they do, gentleman-like approach, still an aggression, absolutely, and even England to an extent are like that. But Australia are lagging behind. They need to recover quite considerably. Hence why Tim Paine's been the captain, because even though he was a bit of a goose in one of the matches against India with what he said, he's generally got more panache than, I'm afraid, any other captain. And I hope they don't go back to Steve Smith for the next captain, and I hope they look towards the future with a young player like a Jason Sangha to come through and be captain. That's my point. Anyway, I think the New Zealand approach has been lucky, as you said, but I'm very impressed with India. I think they've handled themselves very well. Just on the fact, Gil, about Bumrah.
See, yeah.
Are you disappointed with his performance?
It's a tough one, because if you
why is it tough? Why is it tough?
I'll tell you.
He hasn't played well. He has not played well.
So I'll come to that. If you look at his lengths and the lines he's bowled, there's not much you can fault him with, because, and I'll also tell you this: his first spell, he would have gotten a wicket if it had not been Tom Latham, who played very well and left the ball on length. Right? If it had been any other opener, he would have gotten a couple of wickets at least. And then today he was bowling to Kane Williamson, who was up to the task. If it had not been for Kane Williamson, he would have probably taken another wicket. So yes, and I think which also sort of deflated him.
Come on, let's be factual here. Siraj and his form that he's shown over the last so many months has far out excelled Bumrah. Okay, and Virat Kohli himself spoke about Siraj being in this team with Shami. He didn't mention Bumrah's name once. Not once. So what happened? Why didn't Siraj play? If the captain was in favour of him playing, why didn't he play?
He would have only played in place of Mohammad Shami and not anybody else. People forget that Jasprit Bumrah has had a fight.
No. Kohli said, and I'll repeat, he said categorically, he's wanting Shami and Siraj in the team. That doesn't imply it's either or.
Okay. Let me tell you one thing. Virat Kohli also has had a history where he has said stuff in the press conference and then not followed it up. Okay, that is one. The other thing is, Jasprit Bumrah, amongst this Indian bowling attack, Jasprit Bumrah is the only bowler who's taken a 5-wicket haul on his every tour to South Africa. On his first tour to South Africa, first tour to England, first tour to Australia, first tour to West Indies. So he's been that good. He took a fifer in his third test in England. In South Africa, he took a fifer in his third test in Australia. He took a fifer.
Hang on, he didn't take a single wicket in his test match.
That's okay. It's
not. This is a final. Gil, it's a final. It's a final. You can't use that. It's a final. This is where the true players show their ability. Williamson's done that. Okay?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with this.
You don't agree?
Because I don't agree, because he may not have taken wickets, but it's like saying that Williamson didn't score a 50 in a final, but we know he batted well. It's like saying Virat Kohli didn't score a 50, but we know he batted well. So it's all in context.
44 and 40. They scored 44 and 49 respectively. That's halfway to a century.
Okay. What do you think? How do you think Tom Latham played?
In his batting?
Yeah.
He played his role?
Yeah. But 5 years down the line, if someone looks at the scorecard, he'd say, "Oh, Tom Latham only scored 30." But we know that's not true.
No. I think you're drawing a long straw there. The reality is Bumrah did not take one single wicket.
I'm not saying
that's comparative to Latham getting out for a duck.
No, so I'm not saying that what Bumrah did wasn't he was the best bowler on the park, but I'm saying that there were times when he was bowling well, but he ran into a couple of batsmen who played him really well. If it not been for Kane Williamson, batting at the other end, who if you notice it carefully, he was the one who faced most of Jasprit Bumrah, and he was more than happy to face his overs because he realized that if someone else takes strike to Bumrah, they could lose his wicket. So it was also smart batting on Williamson's part. So it's something which you could say was slightly disappointing because Bumrah could have at least cleaned up the tail. But I think the way Williamson played Bumrah, it sort of deflated him. And also, let's not forget that all Indian pacers bowled more than 25 overs. So by the time the New Zealand tail was batting, they'd already, been stretched to a limit. Ishant Sharma bowled 26 overs, Jasprit Bumrah bowled 26 overs, Mohammad Shami bowled 26 overs. The Indian spinners hardly bowled because of the conditions. So,
Read that.
no, Bumrah was coming off an injury then. Bumrah was coming after 5 months of injury in that series in 2020.
Okay,
And
would you have had Siraj on your side?
No, like you said, not just for one game, because it was about playing one test match after 3 months. But if India start against England in Trent Bridge, if I'm not wrong, and if there's a green pitch, then maybe Siraj can be considered, maybe. But I think Jasprit Bumrah is a class bowler. It's just that he's had an off game at best, and it's like you wouldn't have thought of Australia dropping Glenn McGrath after having a wicketless innings, or dropping a Pat Cummins
Although
after
I
a
would
wicketless
expect
innings.
Glenn McGrath in a final to excel, and he did normally. Okay,
It's
Shane Warne excelled in finals.
see there
The
have there have
champions,
never there have
Gil,
never been
champions come out to the best in the finals.
there has never been a final which where you've played a game 2 or 2.5 months before. You have to account for that as well. We have never had a final of any format being played when the last game that you had played was 3 months ago. That puts a lot of things in perspective and in context. Maybe if India had played two test matches just like New Zealand, maybe they would have been all over New Zealand by this point of time. That also puts a lot in context. The last test match that India played was in March. We are in June. When was the last time you saw so much of a difference between a final and the preceding game that a team played? So
Okay,
it's something that we have to think about it. And
all right, put everything to one side. You are in agreement with me that Bumrah has been very disappointing this Test match.
that I can agree. That I can agree. But to say that maybe it's all hindsight to say if Siraj would have played it in place of
No.
Bumrah.
I was saying Siraj before the match. Beg your pardon. It's not
No,
hindsight.
you said that the bowling attack that India are playing is the best. I remember. You said it's the best for the
No,
conditions.
in the context of that, I said Siraj misses out. You're right. You are right. But in the context, though, he should have played.
See, it's
I
like
had this
saying
feeling he should have played.
it's like saying because Henry Nichols didn't score runs in one inning, should New Zealand have played Will Young? It doesn't happen that way.
All right.
It doesn't happen that way.
I'm still disappointed with Bumrah's performance, and Siraj would
That
have probably done a better
that
job.
is okay. See,
Okay.
that is a fair assessment. That we are probably disappointed with the way he bowled, but it's something that
I'll go. Let's have a quick analysis of the Indian side very quickly here. Rohit Sharma, big tick. I'm very impressed with what he's done. Gill, perhaps is underwhelming a little bit, but still a big tick to that combination.
he's just 22.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
just 20.
I've got no problems. He's a future champion, no doubt. Pujara is just Pujara. There's no difference. He's good, solid all the time. Kohli's been okay. Hasn't been brilliant, but he's been okay. His batting with horse the first day was extremely important. He did very, very well. Unfortunately, got out so early the second day of play. Rahane, despite getting 49, that was the most disgraceful dismissal. That really was extremely important for that Indian batting day. Had he continued to do what Williamson did, it's funny, they both got the same score. They both got 49 in their innings. But Williamson's performance was well above Rahane's. And
I'll
that's
tell
where
you
the
why.
problem is.
I'll tell you why. Because New Zealand were 156. They were 130. New Zealand were 5 down for under 130 or around 130. Ajinkya Rahane was batting with Ravindra Jadeja when he played that shot. When Kane Williamson played that shot, he was batting with Tim Southee. Kane Williamson ensured that there was one end which was, stabilized, and Tim Southee and Jamieson and Colin de Grandhomme, they could play their shots, which is something which Ajinkya Rahane should have done, which he didn't do. And make no mistake, it was not as if Ravindra Jadeja, was looking tentative and he could get out any moment. No, Ravindra Jadeja was looking comfortable at the crease. So while you could argue that both, scored the same amount of runs, but there is no way that in the context of the game, the 49 by Kane Williamson was more important. It ensured that India do not get an upper hand. If India would have gotten a lead of 20-30 runs, we would have been looking at India leading at around 90. Then India could have forced the result. Because of Kane Williamson, India cannot enforce a result tomorrow.
And don't forget, even when Kane Williamson was back, that was 7 for 192. If they would have taken those last 3 wickets quickly, they would have been under 217. Okay, and that to me is quite significant. Quite a significant difference. So, okay, but there's questions here about could India have played 4 seamers? I don't think that necessarily would have helped. I think the spin combination has still been important.
I think we've gone for too long now. We've been awake for 2.5 hours now. I think we should go to sleep now. It's 1:30 a.m. in India.
But I'm enjoying this. So with you on, I'm enjoying. It's like when you get on, it's like another hour started. To be honest,
no, but
you and I could talk forever. All right, Gil, I think we'll wrap it up there. You're getting a lot of questions I've asked you about Bumrah. You've done fantastic. Thank you very much, Gil. I'm on tomorrow, but I've got Galton, Bhattacharya at 1 o'clock your time. If you're up for it, get involved with that one. Okay.
I'll try.
All right. Thanks, Gil. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Bye. Good night.
All the best. Ciao. And Gil gave me a hint that he wanted to go then, so it was magnificent. So I'm still happy to talk on. I'm not in any mood to go anywhere. I'm enjoying this knowing, guys. As long as you want me on, I'm still going to be on. So let's have a look here. It's almost 6 a.m. in Australia, 5:52 a.m. Can you believe that? That's pretty late, or pretty early. All right, guys. Any more questions? You asked Gil, what about Bumrah's no balls? He's not improved in that area. He certainly hasn't. I believe Bumrah could have played a lot better, and in hindsight, we should have probably not him in the side. That's a big call, but Shami and Ishant bowled really well. Really, really, really well. Ishant and Shami took their performances to another level today. Jadeja and Ashwin didn't have the success so far, but they've also. I mean, Ashwin bowled well too. He took one of the. I think he got Devon Conway, didn't he? It was a great dismissal. But the second innings of New Zealand, if they had much of an opportunity to play, could well be a deciding factor with Ashwin and Jadeja. Mark my words, those two can make a hell of a big difference if they end up playing in that last period of time. We've got a lot of new people. PewDiePie 2.0A and VJ and Dewas Mishra and Rishabh Gupta have been around for a while. Exactly, Boomer did not play well at any of the finals. So I agree. He to me shouldn't have been playing, and he hasn't been playing well before. And he was injured. And I don't think there was an edge missing there. Where Siraj had an edge, he would have tried. I don't care if Siraj would play well. Siraj would have bowled his guts out. I didn't feel like Bumrah bowled his guts out when he played. It was underwhelming. And he's meant to be the lead bowler of the team. He needs to perform. Okay, the ICC should not have the next tournament in England. Well, look, again, Samartha Tripathi, I've repeated for many people, the neutral ground aspect for the World Tour is it was fair that it was in England. It was the first. It's the home of cricket. It should always be a World Test Championship, World Cups, but the 50 over 20 have always been started in England, and that's the way it is. But the reality is it won't be there probably next time. Should go to one of the winners, New Zealand or India, as location. That would be the right way to go. So Kohli not getting a century, it's a good question. He's been a long time coming. He's got 5 Test matches against England. That's his moment of truth. He should be able to show us there that he's got that capability. All right, guys, we're just going to look there. What's the story here? All right. It's T24. What's T24? I'm not sure you remember that. They're saying it's 20 over. He's totally form. Bumrah's out of form big time. Siraj has to be the future. Don't forget, and at the Gabby, he took 5 wickets in that last innings of Australia. 5. Bumrah has not taken a test wicket in this match. Can New Zealand lose? Gill was saying no, they can't. But they can. If India go out of their way and try to make this into a match, it's not impossible for New Zealand to win or lose. I don't think it's going to happen. The draw is most likely to be the case. The draw is firming more and more as we go along. There's a lot of, the result at this point is probably draw, followed by New Zealand winning and then India winning. And that's the reality of it. But India can turn that around by taking a hell of a lot of risk. But the conservative nature of Pujara and Rahane won't let that happen. Kohli will want to do it, and so will Punt and Jadeja will all want to do it. But they'll be tempered by the other batters. We'll see how the first hour goes, but they should be going for it by the second hour. Put it that way. That's my thoughts. So we got actually growing an audience per hour here, guys. It's interesting. Okay. What do you think about the mentality of Virat and Ravi Shankar? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Magnificent. But great teamwork. Ravi Shankar is a very astute man. Virat Kohli is a good listener now, by the way, too. Virat Kohli keeps moulding himself, keeps getting better. Whereas some of Williamson's also like that. Steve Smith likes the shadow bat, but I'm not sure he shouldn't be captaining. That's my thoughts. Oh, Raja, that's very complicated. I don't know whether I agree. I just want it the way it is, with a bit more teams playing. The probability, a 75% draw, 24% New Zealand, and 1% India. That's a little bit hard on India. I think that's a little bit hard. I think it's probably more like 70, 20, 10 would be my breakdown. Not 75, 24, 1%. No, that's a bit harsh. Pitch already is showing lots of upward and lower bounce. There's a lot of inconsistent bounce going on there. It's atrocious the way it's going at the moment in terms of the amount of bounces. The balls are jagging up off even southeast bowling. The upcoming series against anything will be fantastic. India have got a great chance to stamp themselves into the future. They've got some great bowlers, like Akshar Patel's, the Washington Sundars, the Shardul Thakur, and even Siraj will come into play more and more during that. We came too far, now your turn. Well, I think that's very much. I think India's chance. Do you see the collapse tomorrow for India or New Zealand? The reality is India have a chance of winning this if they go for it. I want Punt to score big. I'd love to see him get it, but it's not like. I mean, I'm the more a positive glass half full as opposed to the glass half empty person. And Gill was more tempered and saying New Zealand more likely to win than India. India can't win. India are not going to say that. Well, anything can happen. I would like to see this happen. I would really like to see this happen. I would love to see them taking a chance. Absolutely. Love to see them take a chance. Why not? Bowl's not. I'm not sure what that comment means, but yeah, I think there's every reason why India can take a chance. It'd be nice. The Indian public have to understand not to be critical of India if they do take a chance and lose. because they've shown spirit in the game. And both these captains are great captains at trying to make things happen. New Zealand will win if India collapse early, but collapse is not the right word. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because India are currently 2 for 64, so they're effectively 32 in front. I believe that's the score. So the 32 in front. So yeah, they're 32 in front and 2 for 64. It'd be nice to see them, get up to a total in front of about up to 200 and then have New Zealand bat and be under a lot of pressure. That'd be great. I hope India will fight. I'm sure they'll fight. We saw swing in this pitch for all the days, but Vaughan criticised Indian pitches with Spence all the day. Is he right or wrong? Michael Vaughan shouldn't be listened to all the time. He's a bit of a goose. He's been controversial because he wants ratings. Let's be honest. He wants people talking about him. He knows what he's doing. The way India batted the first things where they were batting outside of their crease was particularly impressive. I spoke to Galton Bhattacharya the other day, and he thought it was very commendable the way they batted. It was sensational, and they should continue to do that. They didn't do it as much with Gill and Sharma this innings, but yeah. Let's hope these two guys, Punt and Jadeja, go mad, and Kohli for that matter. No chance for rain. This is no chance for rain. What do I think? Well, let's take pause. If New Zealand take 4 wickets in the first session, it won't look very good for India, but also they're 32 in front at the moment with a day's play to go. There's every chance of a result. Every chance. I actually think there's going to be a result. Depends on how much risk they were willing to take, but there'll be a result. There we go. Okay, all you people that are joining now, Defence Show, Hindi, Raju Singh, Pratush, Roy, Dynamite Kid, Sudipta Basu, Vijay, Krishna, Goku. We need, all you guys need to go to the subscribe button now and press it, please, for my sake, and hit the notification button. Both the subscribe button hit, log in, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Please, if you're joining me now, if you're making comments, I hope you're subscribed because I want you to be subscribed. Please show me evidence that you're subscribing. It's very important for the channel to grow and to continue providing the service. I need to have my viewers continue to grow, and I really want that because it's not about money or anything else. It's about getting the channel to grow. Already subscribed. Good on you guys. I appreciate that. You support Bangladesh. That's great. Bangladesh needs support because they are great potential. How am I so? I'm fantastic. It's 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia. It's pretty late where you guys are too, by the way. But it's important for me. I love doing this. You know that. I'm enjoying this immensely. I'm bringing on generally great guests at all different hours of the day. They're going to be on tomorrow as well. It's just magnificent. It's a very warm feeling to be able to provide that service to you. So please, if you subscribe and you hit the notification button, then get onto your WhatsApp groups, get onto your Facebook Messenger groups, get onto your email services, talk to friends, and encourage them not just only to come on now, but just to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps me out. Why do I support India? I support cricket, and cricket is India, especially now. India, New Zealand, England, Australia, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, West Indies, USA, UAE, Malaysia. I love cricket from all those countries. I manage around 20 female cricketers. I help them out a lot, especially Sri Lankan girls, Bangladesh girls, some Indians, some UAE, some South African, Malaysia. I help a lot of girls from different countries, and I'm very proud of that. I love my cricket. Can India win? India can win if they take a risk. Well, you're waiting for this. Actually, that's always a great series to watch. Always a great series to watch. The only problem is Australia up to it now? They've got a lot of disability, just destabilisation going on. Mahi or Virat? Wow. 2 immensely important players for Indian cricket. Both have done very well. Mahi, as in MS Dhoni, has done fantastically. He has proven, Mahi, I know Mahi's his Twitter handle and his
Instagram handles at Marty. You shouldn't compare them. They're both great in their own way, in their own time. So Emma Stoney was probably a slightly more humble guy. Vera Coley certainly is humble, and he certainly thinks of others. They're both great. They both spend time with fans. They understand the fans. They understand what they do. So I think that's a very important thing. We need to have paces. Look at Sharmy today. He was fantastic. Sharmy was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Sharmy was good. Bumba was disappointing. We were talking about that already. Bumba was certainly disappointing. There's no doubt that Bumba was a disappointing player in this test match. I'm very disappointed. No, I don't think any like pace goals like that coming. They've got Bumba, but if he's in form, and he's not in form. If I visited India, of course, up to 20 times over a period of time. I also went to Sri Lanka many times. I was married to a Sri Lankan. I have a lot of great friends in India, especially in areas like Kolkata, Mumbai, Amritsar, Delhi. I've got friends all over Chennai. Mainly a lot of media guys are my great friends. Which team do I support in the IPL? The team I support in the IPL is Kolkata Knight Riders because of my friendship with Kolkata. But I do think Delhi Capitals is the one favourite to win. The first 29 matches, they've been one of the standouts. Well, my innings as well, of course. But I think Delhi Capitals will have a good chance of winning. But I'm a Kolkata Knight Riders fan. Pujara will stay there as long as he's needed to. That's the way I look at it. You are from Kolkata. Very good. Well, the West Indies, Chris Gale has got a YouTube channel, and that's going gangbusters. West Indies Cricket's got a magnificent. They play a lot of their games live on YouTube. I'm going to talk about that. Rain will play a big part after the first day. Yeah, it has, but we've only really lost about a day's play, which is not. A lot of test matches are finished in 4 days, so that's not an excuse. Weather's not an excuse at all. I don't want you to think about excuses about being a game in England on the conditions there, or the ICC make a mistake, or weather, or lack of practice. No, none of that's an excuse. It's all off the table. The game's on, we're playing, and that's the game. No, I don't. I don't think they misread the pitch at all. It just means the best two of their top 5 bowlers. That's why they're in the side. I think the pitch is going to be wearing tomorrow, so we're going to see a lot of differences in the pitch. Meaning we saw an even bounce day. We saw Southie getting balls hit, flies in the glove a lot, and fly up. It's going to be very uneven. The wickets are going to fall away. Whether there's going to be 18 wickets, maybe won't be necessary. Maybe India will declare after 4 or 5 down and get the other 10 out from there. That's very possible. Can New Zealand chase 150 in 40 overs? Certainly can. And also India can get them out, and those amount of overs too. They certainly can. Play. Your name, S.R. Saram. Okay, I've said it. Shabashish Bombik, do you think the craze cricketer? No, I don't. Women's cricket's gone through the roof. Women's cricket's gone through the roof in the world. It's big time improved there, big time. So I'm going to repeat this for some of you. I apologise for that. A lot of new people are joining now. A lot of new people. If you're going to view the, please spend a moment and hit the subscribe button. Log in, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Then you'll get more evidence of how good this channel is to you. I'm hoping it's good to you. I'm doing my best to make it happen. So go and subscribe, hit subscribe, hit notification, and then you're off. There's a draw on the card tomorrow. It's probably 70% chance, yes. 20% New Zealand, 10% India, but that can be turned around very quickly. What's the time in Australia? The time in Australia is 6:08 a.m. Well, the sun will be coming out in a minute. Well, might be clouds, but yeah. Well, we've got a lot of quality teams in the Asia Cup, a lot of the European Cups. There's a lot of teams there. There's probably 20 quality. Oman has got a great side. Bhutan, for God's sake, Bhutan's got a great side for the limited. what do you think about Indians' chances against England? Great. I think they're going to have a very good chance. They're going to learn from this test match, and I think they're going to learn about the conditions, and they're going to have a great deal of practice going into that. My favourite top 10 bowlers. Okay. Pat Cummins is up there. Stark at his best is selling up there. Rabada, Norjay, Bumrah when he bowls well. Shami and Ishant today after their efforts for sure. Anderson Broad, that's 9. The 10th one I'll throw in Southie. When you play BBL, well, it's a matter of the IPL letting them. Well, when you say football, you mean soccer. It's very big in Kolkata, I know that. It's getting there. Don't worry, it's getting there. Yeah, this is the question. Why did Bumrah take a wicket? Very disappointing. A bit of a shock, really. The man of his quality, this was his day of reckoning, and he didn't actually do it, did he? Disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed, actually, because you can, and people say in hindsight, Sirajman, but actually we were saying Sirajman earlier, and Kohli said that he wanted both Siraj and Shami on the side. He didn't mention Bumrah. So he was also probably looking for something better than from Bumrah. Didn't happen. And the best of test format. Well, in Australia beat New Zealand countless times. New Zealand are pretty damn good, and they're showing to be pretty good here. New Zealand, pound for pound, are probably a bit better side at the moment, especially their bowling attack. No doubt their bowling attack's pretty significant. I would have to argue the bowling attack's very, very significant. Very, very significant bowling attack. So, yeah, I'd say there'd be a lot to say about that. If Bumrah takes 5 wickets in the second innings, he'll turn out all our thoughts around. Let's hope he does. I think Ashwin's more likely to do that, to be honest. Yeah, Jadeja didn't bowl very much, did he? And he hasn't batted that well. His fielding's been fantastic, though. Yeah, he's been a bit underwhelming. I'd actually say, why is it juice ball in the ICC events? Well, it's in England. It's the kind of the ball that we use, and it's very neutral. So I don't think there's any problem with that. I agree. I'm very, very frustrated with it. New Zealand, imagine if they, yet again, don't win a World Cup. And again, do something very, 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 very close, but don't win it. It'd be frustrating as hell. New Zealand's going to go on tomorrow trying their level best to win it, I'll tell you. Personally, I think Kohli himself would love to go for attack from Wood, go and get punt in there and get Jadeja and go attack. Be tempered by what Pujara and Mahali will be telling them, for sure. Shardul Thakur would have been a great value today, like a role like Tagon has played. Spin or fast bowler, why? Well, it's not about spin or fast bowling. It's about the best bowlers in your team. Your best 5 bowlers should be bowling in your team. Whether they're the spinners or fast bowlers shouldn't matter, because they should take wickets everywhere. That's what my thoughts are. So in the case of India, Jadeja and Ashwin are as important as the fast bowlers. Don't you think that they did a big blunder by dropping Siraj? Yes. I think he should have been on the side. Siraj should have been on the side. There's no doubt about that at all. And they were very bold with their decisions of who was selected in the Gabba series or the Australian series, and even the recent short form version. They've been throwing a lot of great players in there to try their luck. Test side, they were a bit conservative, which I understand, but they could have left Siraj in there. Siraj was a bit of a mistake, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. So, good night, Devesh Mishra. Well, Kohli may be considering it after the Test series against England. Who knows? Good morning, actually. You're right. Okay, we've got 55 viewers on at the moment. A lot of you went on recently. If you haven't heard me say it, I'm going to keep repeating this. If you're on now and you're new to the channel, Norman Kochek's my name. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochek. I've got hats and I've got a whole heap of hats here. Look at all these hats I've got. I've got a black one. I've got a coffee-coloured one. I've got a white one, and I've got a navy blue one, and I've got the what they call petrol blue, which is a light blue. All my hats. I've got my top as well. So Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochek is my channel. We've been on for a fair while now. I've had a lot of great viewers, had some great guests. But for you to be a part of this channel, please spend a moment subscribing. You'll see a subscribe button down on your platform there. Hit the subscribe button, please, now. If you're not logged in, log in and be subscribed. And the notification button so you see more of my sessions. I've got a Twitter handle and an Instagram handle there of Norman at Norm Koch. You can talk to me that way, so I can send you a message. You can join the panel. I've got some of them may have done that already. I don't actually check. Let me have a look if they actually have done that. So 2 requests here. Accept. Mayak Raj Mishra, I've just accepted you there. And Kapil Verma. I'm not sure he's still there. Just reply to you. All right. What's this going to do? All right. Okay. So, what's my prediction on the final day? A draw at 70%, I'm afraid to say, but I want New Zealand and India to play for a win, and it could go either way if it's the case. We'll go 15-15 for the rest. Although it looks 20-10 at the moment, New Zealand's way, but wait and see. Don't you think every team should have got equal number of matches and equal level to teams? Don't you think it was unfair for many teams? It's the first go. With all due respect, we've got to give it a go. I think we've gotten here now. We've done it. We've got our first championship. We move on and we improve every time. So I get your point, but I don't think it was unfair necessarily. Best they could do. Yeah, defensive mindset can actually make you lose. You're right. The Indian batting has to be careful not to go too defensive because they may lose outright with getting a low score. So you've got to be careful there. Do you think both New Zealand play a cagey game with the bat? Show Insta ID to my Insta ID Raj A is there. See? At Norm Koch. On today's test, you'd have to say Williamson at the moment. At the moment, Williamson's slightly ahead. You have to judge it by his most recent performances, and I'd say it's now is the case. So, but Kohli, pound for pound, is probably better. But Williamson at the moment is probably slightly ahead, to be really honest. Okay. Who do you think was great at crack up? Steve or Ponting? They both were good, but still, if you need to choose one, whom will you choose and why? Ponting or Steve Waugh? Steve Waugh, clearly. Gutsiest player, scored gutsy centuries. Ponting was probably a better batsman than Steve Waugh, but pound for pound, Steve Waugh was a gutsier player, led by example, had a slightly lesser team on occasions, but brought them to another level. Ponting continued that very, very well, but Waugh would be the model that Ponting would have liked to have been. Why New Zealand's successful team despite their population with others like Zimbabwe or UAE aren't? Well, UAE are getting there. Zimbabwe, it's financial problems there as well. New Zealand just know how to coach. Now they've got a program of New Zealand A teams, B teams if you want to call it that are going around the world playing it. So the next level below their test level is very high. Hence why they've got players coming through the way they do. Very interesting scenario, actually. Very interesting scenario. Yes. All right. So who will win the ICC any on New Zealand? Well, at this stage, Chetan Tandikar, you would have to say that it's going to be a draw, followed by New Zealand and India. But that's at this stage. We don't really know until we see what happens the first session tomorrow. If India go for it and get a lead of 150, 170, and get close to 200, send New Zealand a bat, New Zealand falter, and Ashwin comes to the fore, they can win. It's a fairy tale a little bit, but it's possible. Ponting said, I just need a wicketkeeper and finish it limited overs cricket. Do you agree? No doubt. Way was crap. And I don't think there's any. They're lacking a Gilchrist style play. Yes, well, there's a few coming through, but they're way off their best. I'll tell you now. I wouldn't have put Siraj instead of Ashwin. I would have put Siraj in place of Bumrah. The way things have gone. Well, this is the first World Test Championship. It was in England. They started the 50-over World Cup back in '75 between the West Indies and England. In England, it's kind of a traditional start. So don't worry about it. It won't stay there. It'll go from the winner of this tournament, New Zealand or India, should be the host next time. Why not? My heart says Virat, my head says Williamson at the moment, but Virat's still my favourite. He's better on his day. Virat's better. Kohli is much better, but Williamson is proving more consistent and has that mental strength that Virat does have, but probably slightly more on occasions. Let's be honest. It's a very interesting comparison, though. All right. Well, Pujara has got a job to do, be at one end while the other person attacks, then it will work. Southampton is clear as what we hear. Rishabh Pant versus most better batsman. Oh, Punt. I'm not a fan of Labuschagne for some reason. I just don't like him as much. I don't know. I can't get him my answer right. His stats are very, very good, but Punt's more exciting. Well, this is a good question. I would be tempted to have Siraj in there in place of Bumrah. I'd be very tempted. Based on the form we've seen today, I tell you what, I wouldn't be shocked if that happens, actually. My opinion, okay, if I'm being level-headed and realistic, there's a 70% chance of a draw with 20% New Zealand, 10% India. But that could become 70-15-15. It could become 17-15, 10-20 if India play well in the first session. You never know. Can India give them a target of 200? It's what they're going to be looking for. And why can't they? It's going to really depend on, well, they're 32 at the moment, 2 for 32 effectively. 200 is a long way off, but they can try. Are we expecting Pat Mania tomorrow? Pat Mania, let's hope. He's got to be careful not to play a false shot, though, but let's hope. If New Zealand had played a couple of spinners, we would have had some fun. Ayush Gupta now. Where are you from? I'm from Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. COOGEE, Coogee Beach. Look it up. It's very close to Randwick, which is the Randwick end of the SCG. I'm in Sydney, Australia. And what I do, well, I'm retired from my federal government work, which I've worked for a long time. I have a lot of media involvement, and I'm doing this channel, and I'm enjoying it immensely. We've answered this question a little bit, Vijay, about the neutral venue. It's not about that. It's about, you can argue that the winner of this should be able to choose next time the location of their ground. I wouldn't mind. Foot marks will be an advantage for Jadeja and Ashwin for that matter. Absolutely. I believe it's every 2 years. I think it should be every 4 years, but I believe it's every 2. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's every 2 years, which is quite frequent, as opposed to every 4. Well, we'll see how that is. It's a way of increasing involvement with Test cricket, which I applaud. I applaud big time. What do you think Rohit Sharma performance in Test match? First time playing in England, I think it's been incredibly good. He's not scoring big hundreds, but he's batting incredibly well. It's been thwarted the attacks brilliantly. Today, his dismissal was admirable because he didn't contest it. I'd give my hat off to a person as I've got. Rohit Sharma has grown in my respect for him. Absolutely. Did well. Should stay there. I agree with your comments. Totally. What should India be planning to do? Well, first, they're not to lose wickets. They're 2 for 32 effectively now. If they can get up to 150 to 200, lead, and then consider declaring, giving New Zealand a chance to bat, it could be an amazing match. Let's see if they do that. They may be all out by that stage. Can't leave the stream back again. Oh, okay. Got into vegetable. What are you going to sleep? I guess in 4 things which Indian bowler can perform well. Well, Ashwin. My heart says India, my head says New Zealand. Who are you? I'm Norman Kochnak. I'm based in Coogee Beach in Sydney, Australia. I've been on programs all over summer, especially with Extra Time, Sports Today, APP News. I'm a journalist here, a reporter here in Sydney, Australia. Is that good enough? And if you ask me who you are, then please, Himanshu Chhabra, you're on. Where have you been? You've been elsewhere. Sheena, we had you before. What are you asking? Can India so their innings will go for a draw if they accelerate? How many sessions do they get the bat? Well, they want to bat the first session, probably no more. It's too late for Australia. Don't you think he should focus on limited that? No way. No. That's one thing for sure. And I like that comment. Tim Payne will get his mouth shut about that one. He'll have learned his lesson, but that's not a smart thing to be doing is to egg him on, that's for sure. I wouldn't be doing it, that's for sure. That would be a disaster to do that. Let's have a look here. Just looking up any stats that are of any interest. Okay. Do you think today's second session saved the test for New Zealand? Yes. At this stage, yes. Williamson's performance was superb, and then having the likes of Southey and Jameson score their little cameos helped the total on. They were one stage 7 for 192, looking at the barrel of being under the 217 score, and they ended up being 32 in front. Very commendable turnaround at that point, was I must say. And now with India 2 for 64, they're 2 for 32 effectively. If India were 30 or 40 in front, they would be now 2 for 100. Or sorry, at least they'll be probably close to 100 in front. And a first system I would have made them go 250. Then it would have been a game on big time. So they're lacking that 50 runs momentum at the moment, which is the only frustration I can see. But it doesn't mean it's over yet for them. I'm not saying it's over, that's for sure. There's certainly a lot of potential in this match. You could turn it into a 50-over match, couldn't you? That would be not a bad idea, Raj. I get your point. I did that a bit today, actually. I actually had. I didn't show it live, but I was talking about it while it was live the last 40 minutes. Not a bad idea. No, I don't think so. There's enough battings in the Indian side to do well. Robert Sharma looked good, though. Whether it's the turning point's hard thing to actually say. I don't know about that. All right, guys. I've been on for a long time now. I think I'm going to consider stopping. So let's have a look here. Two more questions. Okay, Himanshu. Okay, that's interesting with Bogle. So I don't think it's a turning point. I think it's a bit too dramatic. I think the turning point to me was my prestige of Rohit Sharma, my honour of Rohit Sharma for him not going like that. Do you think ICC are at fault for not having a 7th day? No. But I agree with the fact that it's going to be a final, make it 450 overs minimum, and the game is resolved. They've got to do that. I think that's the point. How do you think Phil when Australia lose? It was quite a sad moment. It was terrible for Australia to lose, but it was great to see India win the news. I've got a video which the public reaction which had 1 million views on Sri Harsha. We're going to do more with Sri Harsha cricket. Sri Harsha, SREE Harsha cricket. Great platform. We work collaboratively a lot. I hope he does. I really hope he does. Thank you too. Could be the game changer. So could Ashwin, Untitled Chapter. So could Ashwin. If he comes in the second innings today, I think they take the New Zealand wickets. Who knows? Who knows? Right, guys. My Insta ID is here at Norm Koch is my Insta and my Twitter account. And please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the notification button. Do that as well, please. Pujara should get out early and Punt should come and bat faster. I agree totally. I'm not against that. I would love to see Punt go mad. It'd be excellent. So guys, if you're online now for the first time today and you haven't seen me before, see you soon, mate. See you later. Okay. All right, guys, we might call it quits there. So one last question I'm going to answer. There's two actually. Do you think it's fair for KL Rahul not getting chased in spine? What's the even test? Yeah, it's frustrating for Rahul. It is frustrating. He's a great player. Hang in there, he'll get back. I think New Zealand got their favourable conditions, but the way India played was solid. Absolutely. Can't say New Zealand will all out in the 40 overs as they batted 100 overs in the first innings. But second innings of a test match in Untitled Chapter, you don't bat as long as you do the first innings. And conditions, the ball's really uneven. It could be quite a dramatic change. Don't discount that. All right. All right, guys, I think it's time I go, okay? So thank you again. Please view, like, and this is Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koch. I've got a whole bevy of hats here now with different labelling all on there too. It'll be on my merchandising site soon. So it's Norman Koch from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koch. And what are the scenarios for India to win? India will have to declare at some stage, set a total and bowl their hearts out. Why has no one come close to Bradman when he punches with flatter? He was just an out-and-out champion. Out-and-out champion. Simple as that. I'm hoping they do well, simple. Okay, so again, view, like, and share the post. If you haven't logged in and subscribed, please subscribe now. It costs you nothing. Hit the notification button. There's my Twitter and Instagram handle of @NormKoch. And if you have subscribed, well, then share it to your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook Messenger, your online, your emails, and get more viewers. I'm going to thank you guys for this session. It's been wonderful. And I'm going to head off now. So this is Norman Koch. How is the weather in Sydney? How the weather in Sydney? It's freezing cold. I don't know. It's a great question. Hopefully they'll do that against England. All right, goodbye, guys. Thanks for your time. Subscribe. See you next time.